5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
The Dota TV? That would be embarrassing.
Dire team pick. Radiant team pick.
Lycan.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Tide Hunter.
All right. Ready? All right. We're going to come back just to the webcams and then I'll very quickly throw it to the draft after we introduce ourselves. Good to go. Yep. 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome everyone to the DPC CIS lower division presented by ESL 1. I am Seek and Strike, and with me virtually also in the next room is Mr. Avo Plus. We are going to be your casters here for the lower division of the CIS Season 1 here. So really excited, and our first draft already underway. So we'll just go ahead and switch on over to that one real quick.
Dire team ban. Mirana.
Sports versus PuckChamp. Very exciting game. Particularly, I'm a big fan of the Gambit squad. I have been for a while, but I am a fan of their players. Particularly, a lot of their players actually came up when I was casting back in Tier 3, Tier 2. Blizzy particularly, as I followed No Lifers forever. I used to cast them whenever they won. Like, I think they won 6 Proto Cups in a row back when I was casting them. It was very nice. I do have something to announce.
Radiant team ban.
Abandoned today, in case you guys want to know.
Oh, that's
yes.
right.
So, PuckChamp is not playing with Ein. You guys might remember him mostly from Singularity. He's the position 5. They're going to be playing with Pubber instead. So, interestingly...
Actually, by the way, his name is Eine, not Ein. Yep.
Radiant team pick.
I just... Yep,
So,
no. But we want...
So, Pupper, which is interesting because Pupper is actually a carry player, right? And even more interesting, Pupper is actually one of the people that came up in the Kyrgyzstan stack, which Blizzy was a part of. Blizzy, the offlaner from Gambit Esports. There's a lot of history between them. Pupper was their original carry. He's also played a bit with alternate attacks back in the day. He's had a pretty decent history, but they didn't quite make it as much as Zayak or as Blizzy, which really showed their power afterwards. I'm not really sure if he's going to be playing 5 Pupper because, again, he did used to play carry. He has moved recently into other positions as he hasn't been so successful finding teams. But it's going to be interesting to watch nonetheless, especially because of the history he shares with some of the Gambit.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of contrast that with how new of a squad really PuckChamp is. You know, you were mentioning Blizzy. I think Blizzy alone might have more professional games than almost everyone on the side of PuckChamp. I think with the notable exception of perhaps Astral, who has by far and away the most experience on PuckChamp. So I'm kind of curious because Gambit, very experienced roster. PuckChamp, though, very new blood. So I'm really excited to see how this match plays out and really just how the league dynamic plays out. You know, a lot of these new teams, especially over in the C region, especially when like new players or old players like Mushi go on different stacks, it takes a while for some teams to quote unquote figure out their play style or figure them out. So there might be a little bit of a honeymoon period, but PuckChamp as well, generally quite a strong team from the very few games I've been able to see them play. But yeah, so I just wanted to contrast that with the very storied history of Gambit.
Yeah, Gambit. I mean, a team that
True.
Ten seconds.
Some of their stronger teams, I would say. The XS
Remaining.
have been in the team for a bit, and I think they were some of the stronger players in the CIS region. I'm kind of surprised to see them again, in Division 2, because I do find that they're perfectly Division 1 players. As you mentioned, PuckChamp are the kind of like newer blood that came when the reshuffle in CIS happened like a year and a half ago, where like a bunch of new blood came by with teams like Unique Nova, Tiberium Seed, all these teams that before were like at best considered amateurs started getting chances to play in Tier 3, Tier 2 tournaments, and then a lot of new blood came into the scene. So it's gonna be an exciting matchup for sure. I'm already seeing a lot of the meta carries coming out, right? The Monkey King for Gambit Esports, perhaps considered one of the strongest carries up there with Wraith King of the meta, and then the Lycan, which is also a very abused carry in the meta currently, as the the Feral Impulse buff really made him a hero again. Like, that was huge. I remember seeing that as a Lycan player myself. I'm a big spammer of the hero, and I was like, yes, he's back. It's so much easier to play him. You have so much more variance with the hero when it comes to team fights, and also when it comes to itemization. The hero just gained a lot of flexibility, which it didn't used to have, which made him, well, very popular, of course.
Zoo meta is still particularly strong with him, especially because even though Necro did get nerfed a while ago, I think almost a year ago, my goodness. But even since then, they've changed the hero damage to, they've changed the damage type of the Necro units to hero damage, so they actually end up doing a little bit more damage to most things in the game, actually, especially heroes. So that combined, like what you're saying with the Feral Impulse buffs, kind of brought him back. And already, and then Tidehunter as well, just another very strong offlaner, tends to beat almost...
Particularly against Lycan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of anti-Lycan strats here. Yeah, Monkey King and Tide both are very good against Lycan. I think that's also part of the reason why they pick him. In fact, a lot of Gambit is just destined to make this Lycan from a wolf into a dog, right?
Just short
you got the monkey.
Just short of banning, just short of picking the Mars, I was going to say, that, which is the traditional hard counter, right? But they know this is something to have to address, as you were saying.
So the Monkey King is good against Lycan because once you lay down your Wukong's command, it's impossible for Lycan to go inside. So it's like, yeah, I create movement speed, but CM and Mirana can just cower in fear inside the statues, and they're fine. Tidehunter reduces his damage. Ravage is really easy to catch this guy with. CM with her freezing field, since Lycan carries no stuns, is also really hard to kill her due to the added bonus armor. Like, they have a lot of options, and both CM and Mirana are great at destroying creeps, so it's great for the zoo that Lycan runs. I mean, it's gonna be a tough game, which is why I like that PuckChamp picks up a Storm, and not even a Timbersaw, two potential secondary win conditions for their lineup, right? But Gambit immediately responds to the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, it's a strong SF game, and that's going to be one of more Lornoff's more played hero.
Yes.
He really does. He's been playing a lot of the TA. The TA, though, not too strong this game. It might have even been banned out. But yeah, going with the SF instead. He's just actually passed his 69th game, so this will be his 70th game on the hero overall. Freshly looking at stats before we started.
Yeah, it's exciting as well, because Melis, back when he first, probably one of the I would say maybe older players from PuckChamp. He's not that old, but he's been in the scene for quite a while, together with Astral as well. And he kind of made his first splash with the scene, particularly in the Timbersaw. He really does like playing these heroes a lot. He's actually technically still in Gambit in terms of the. Yeah. He's still owned by Gambit, but he's being lent towards PuckChamp, which is interesting. So if Melis leads this charge against them, that's gonna be very fun to see. Right?
It's a lot of the CIS style of roster swaps, right, on how they happen, and it's a very interesting method in the way it's done. You know, I highly encourage you. Usually, I think like the Navi CEO puts out a lot of very interesting videos in English, especially. Yes. Like kind of recounting some of the tales. They're really good stories, but that's something I'm really excited personally. Now getting to cover some CIS Dota is seeing a lot of these former players and teammates then play against each other in what is then going to be this new DPC format. Really looking forward to it.
It's true. Especially because the CIS region is a region that had, for a really long time, they reshuffle very similar to the Chinese region, where you have stacks with a bit of new blood and a bit of old players, right, to bring the experience in. But the issue was that they didn't have leagues to really keep the consistency. They had a lot of, you know, regional tournaments, but not big enough for these kind of international teams to participate in. And we're starting to see a bit more of, with these DPC leagues, hopefully the consistency that CIS deserves and needs to start producing more top teams again, right? Because until now, it's really been, at least in the international scene, really, it's been Virtus.pro plus one or two more usually, but not as much as you'd expect from such a powerful region. I mean, CIS loves Dota. Yeah, that's true. It's one of the regions, I would say, together with Peru, that has the biggest Dota culture in there.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I think there's a few countries in C that would contend there. The Philippines specifically. That's as true. Well, yeah. Right? I mean, they
do have a show. I Married a Dota Player, which was on national TV for 2 seasons. So yeah.
Really? Wait, where was this?
On Philippines.
No,
or it was. Yeah, and it was like supposed to be a comedy show, and I married a Dota player. Like, you know, I screwed up.
Oh, no.
Sure enough, married a Dota player. I guess I'm not really sure. I saw a bunch of ads for it, and I was like, this is the weirdest thing in the world. But I never actually got a chance to watch.
That's hilarious. Sounds like my dating experience. Either way, though, getting right into it here, as we're about to hit the horn. But no one really contesting for runes. There's a lot of first blood potential from this Gambit lineup, especially when you have potentially Frostbite into almost a guaranteed arrow. So everyone's just going to be playing it extremely safe here to runes apiece.
Okay, so we do see the Crystal Maiden going for the Crystal Nova first, right? So one of an older build. You've seen a bit of variation on this hero, gain a lot of popularity these days, but people now are starting to abuse much more her laning stage. So instead of maxing the aura, as you used to always do, you know, for years and years in Dota, some people are actually only putting the single point in aura, maybe some 2 points, and then maxing Crystal Nova Frostbite early, depending on the game, just to really take advantage of the early game power spike of a Crystal Maiden. We'll see. It is also one of Aina's best heroes as well, so yeah, maybe they're bringing the spirit of him with them.
Yeah, of course, and just watching Pubber there block the camp, so not going to be able to get any pulls off. Generally, you see the Crystal Nova build against something like a Lycan, funnily enough, just because he brings too many summons to the table, but they're going to be running the Mirana top lane instead.
Of course, because Mirana is not as great against Lycan early, but once he gets Helm of the Dom or Necros, Mirana is amazing against them, right? The insta-kill on the creeps is fantastic, and I think she just does a bit better in harassing the Grimstroke as well. So, I mean, it's one of X's Vampire's also star heroes. You went for Gush level 1 on Blizzy. They're putting a lot of pressure on Grimstroke. They know they're not going to kick Lycan out of lane too easily, but they should be able to kill Grimstroke if it messes up. Right. Just like that. One's First blood, very simple. Very good arrow as well.
Well, that one's granted thanks to the ward. I was about to point that out, but looks like he's going to point it out with the nice little arrow there for first blood. Just amazing harasser. Mirana, just one of the more powerful heroes probably for like, what, 2-3 years now for just so many reasons. Actually,
please nerf her.
In 7.28, and it's no surprise to see why. I mean, with rapid attack rates, and you've got now the Gush minus armor, even Lycan starting to not have a very fun time here. And that's a dead courier as well. It's a really, really tough start to this game here for the Grimstroke. No more passive gold here for a little bit of time. That one really, really hurts.
He finally has a single point of Herald Impulse, which has got incredibly buffed at level 1 as well. So now it actually gives you, not in the last patch, but you know, gives you a bit more regen, which makes it a bit more valuable, just have a single point in it. But he's also staying very close to his tower, because with the Gush and the physical attack damage, a Lycan just can't really tank a Tidehunter. So while you stay near the tower...
Whitestone as well of Mirana.
Yeah,
it's exactly stuff. Yep, you get the +1 armor, you get +2 HP regen. You can see even Grimstroke's trying to trade with the Mirana underneath the tower, but it's just too much minus armor. It's just too much damage. What do you do?
I mean, this hero is just really dumb. And then she's like, all right, well, I mean, I guess Marna's not that great at doing other things, right? Nope. She can also rotate amazingly, defend the mid push by killing the catapult, can deal with most heroes in the game. It's just incredible.
Super well. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Ruins the jungle. It's amazing. But we are going to see a mid lane rotation here pretty darn soon. This is sort of a fun mid lane. SF versus Storm. Kind of a bit of one of the more classic ones. Early, probably SF favored until you hit level 6, and then it's all Storm's game for a little bit of time. From there, but getting level 6 is going to be the dangerous part here for Storm, who really does rely on his positioning, especially when he wants to go for the Vortex Static Remnant combo. Can be quite challenging against a hero like the SF. But he's doing pretty well so far, actually, surprisingly. 18-3, so leading the SF by over 2 waves is just really incredible.
I mean, here we're seeing literally a reason. Well, actually, in the bottom lane, though, they're going for Pubber here. Has Frostbite, still no point in the aura. That Frostbite might just save his life, though. As Melis is actually in trouble. They get the passive off on Monkey King, but he's not chasing after the Timbersaw. A bit too difficult. Doesn't want to go after the Phoenix either, so gonna stop the aggression for now.
7 stick charges, even with the Orb of Corrosion. It's going to be a bit of a challenging kill, so he's going to go focus on getting some CS instead.
Yep. Orb of Corrosion is fantastic, of course, but you are still the carry, right? So sometimes with Orb of Corrosion as a melee carry, particularly a Monkey King or, you know, Slark, Bloodseeker that can play more aggressive in lane, you forget that you're supposed to be farming, right? And you just really want to push the offlaner out, and then you miss a lot of CS. And I like Sunny's diligence, right, towards staying in the farming game.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite important in this game because there's a real chance right now this SF's not having such a great game as Pubber does eat that.
He might die. I think he dies here.
Fire Spirit will catch him. Nicely done there. It's a nice toss-up.
And his courier does too.
Yeah, both position 5s having a pretty tough time.
Yeah, but in this case, the Crystal Maiden, I think, feels weaker, because Grimstroke, you don't necessarily pick him to win the lane. Like, he's good for the lane, but he's not the reason why you pick him. With CM, it's all about securing your carry's farm. Ooh, which he did do, though.
Nice.
Yeah, crit in the top lane. Ooh, walked into the air. Was trying to juke it there by zigzagging, but the drunk strats did not work there for Lycan.
Drunk strat's not working too well when you're anchor smashed and gushed as well. Just not too many places you could go. Astral down to the bottom lane. Does have himself the dive, and with the Fire Spirit slow, he's actually not dive aggressively here. He will die. Maybe it was going to tick down eventually, but tried to get some more damage onto the Monkey King instead of Icarus diving back. I'm not sure if he would have lived or not, but either way, now he is going to be dead.
Well played there. Usually Monkey King struggles a bit against Phoenix because obviously reducing your attack speed makes it really difficult to get off your Jingle Mastery, but not the case here. Storm does rotate, don't try to steal the rune. Pupper will die for it at this rate. He's actually going for the second rune and just wasting the Storm's time. So he does feed a kill to the Storm, but in exchange for the Bounty Rune is fine. Xani, though, in a difficult position as well as Melis chases him out of the lane. Now Timbersaw reaches his second point to Directive Armor. Usually this is the turning point for most Timbersaws in lane. Now it's too difficult to kill him. It's really not worth your time. Yeah,
even with the Maiden's magic damage here, she's just not going to be high enough of a level as they'll get a second kill in this top lane. Now Lornoff making the rotation over with the Invis Rune, finding the kill there. Very, very nicely done indeed. It's a pretty tough start here for PuckChamp, the way things are currently heading, but they still do have themselves a Storm Spirit who's going to be pretty strong here for about the next 5 to 7 minutes, I would say, until we get this Yule Scepter up, and then it's really going to be, I think, SF setting the pace here for a while.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, right? SF is I think the definition of the high risk, high reward kind of hero. So if you do have a really good mid game, that's where your strength relies on. You can be one of the best space creators in the game, but it requires such a precise execution that a lot of pros are a bit afraid of picking him. That's why I like that you mentioned that Lornoff is confident in the hero. That's usually the only times you ever see an SF being picked. When someone is confident enough, they know they can do well with him. But I do find that his new shard and in general the changes that he received in the last patch does help him be a bit more consistent again.
Yeah, that, and of course, this was much before 7.28, but now capping the souls at 20 instead of 36.
That made him much easier.
Which makes deaths much less punishing. My goodness, that was...
Yes.
I mean, could you imagine? I didn't play much mid lane, so... but even just having an SF on your team, oh, he died once. Guess we have to just turtle for 2 minutes while he farms the whole map until he has damage. It's so punishing. So glad to see this hero back in a very playable position.
Yeah, me too, actually. It is true that the 36 souls was kind of a remnant of the old era, right? When Dota was a bit slower. And SF is like, I'm supposed to be a space creator, but also if I die, it's GG. So,
it's GG, yeah.
Right?
It was even worse than like your TA dying once or twice in lane, because it was just your the SF could barely even go back to lane without dying against most mid laners. It was
exactly. And then you had Yul Scepter, but no ultimate to use.
Blizzy running away. He's going to be okay now. Hasted up. SF Lorinov joining the fight. He wants to go for the easy kill onto the Grimstroke. Desperate still does have the ball lightning ready to go. Lorinov is going to have this kill easy peasy. Arrow's going to miss. Desperate still running on through the trees. It's already a medallion completed here on our Mirana. Excess Vampire, though, is going to not have enough lockdown. They're going to keep chasing, though. We still have decent mana on Storm. Is this a kill? It is? Wow.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. The Storm, he was just not trying to ball lightning completely because he was afraid of course, being caught out by a hasted SF. Made sense, right? Maybe the choice there. He didn't have TP, which was the right choice per se. He was should have just ball lightning TP, but it wasn't available to him. So, yeah, the haste just does a lot of work, and the SF really recovering from a pretty bad mid lane.
Yep.
Now, top in net worth. Really happy with this. Gonna start becoming the space creator you hope.
Yeah, it was a great counter rotation as well. Johnny is starting to really suffer down here like you predicted, however. Now that we have the Chakram out, there's not really too much room for him to go. Millis should be able to get some pretty free experience here. They're going to have to make a pretty big rotation, and probably including the SF with Yules if they want to try for this kill. But speaking of that Yules, we are really close to it. Maybe just a couple 2 CS here away. He's got himself a Clarity on the way as well, so he's probably going to be looking for a quick little Yules Requiem combo. His top lane, Johnny, is going to land a stun here onto Astral, but he gets off the Icarus dive, so he's going to be able to buy himself a lot more time to live.
Astral, let's see if they're going to still catch him with the Monkey King. Oh, no, he's out of the map now. Because Phoenixes can do that. All right, well, at least you do get to push here on Gambit's side, so at least you still take the tier 1 tower. But Timbersaw's doing the job of 4 heroes, and mid, they're actually killing off Lorinov here. Storm wants his revenge kill. The Ghost should just be able to finish him off. Nice Ghost to save his life, though. Like still wants to go in, but the Rise keeps him in place. And a Requiem of Souls. He will die without Requiem, but might guarantee a counter kill. No. Blizzy, unfortunately, out of mana, could not quite anchor smash Desperate before he did ball lighting away. Very well played, though, for the Ravage. I think it was the best out of bad situation, but they couldn't accomplish what they were going for.
That's right. Yeah, and I was about to say, you can see PuckChamp maybe trying to tilt their opponents a bit. They're saying, where were the TPs, guys? They had a +1 there. That's an easy, maybe double kill. I think SF still dies, unfortunately, but at least you get something other than, I mean, Yule Scepter reveal sounds silly, right? But he literally got that delivered at the 11th hour. That was the first showing of our Shapeshift, rather, on Lycan, our first Ravage. They didn't get anything out of it, Avo. So, yeah, no TPs. The Maiden wasn't carrying one. Excess Vampire, I'm not sure what he was doing, to be honest. Wasn't looking at his position on the map, but that's where that tip comes from. And I think Gambit are going to be kicking themselves a little bit after that one.
I mean, I think it just comes down to what I was mentioning before this happened, which is that Timbersaw alone was doing the job of 4 heroes, right? And then the Timbersaw was essentially accomplishing this trade, which made it really difficult for Gambit to play the spaces any longer. Because they're like, okay, so do we rotate heroes and then lose the potential tower and the pressure up top, right? Maybe they didn't even have to say TPs available because they ought to go top to begin with. And then it's also PuckChamp uses their lineup to their strengths. They know they have a stronger early mid-game cores with the Lycan and Timbersaw, and they're taking advantage of these by just allowing them to solo a bit more, whereas Gambit is trying to force 5-on-5 engagements, trying to take advantage of the time.
And not to mention just how mobile they are, as we see Desperate making the jump there onto Blizzy. They do have plenty of detection nearby. Dust now applied, looking to body block with the Wolves. Blizzy, though, quite tanky here. Only 2 points of the Kraken shell. So he will be slowed down eventually. Monkey King waiting in the trees, but Johnny is not going to be able to really do much about that. He's just going to have to hop down and go along his merry way.
Yep, we will see. Blizzy maybe a bit too far in, right? I would say for a Tide. I'd expect a Timbersaw to make those kind of plays, right? Because you can get away with your life and waste a bunch of time. I don't think Tide can really do that. I think Tide is also an off-laner that nowadays is played with a bit more greed in mind. And actually, losing him like that is not great.
Definitely. And actually, I was just making the point that look how actually mobile, especially early, because all the mobility is tied to the spells here for PuckChamp, that they are when compared to Gambit. Really, only Monkey King has as much mobility. Mirana as well, it would be unfair to say, right? And SF, due to his general tendencies to build lots of move speed, but they can't really run from these engagements versus PuckChamp. I mean, how do you even do that against a Storm, Lycan, Timber, even the Phoenix is going to be able to catch up to you rather quickly. So PuckChamp, I feel like they're probably feeling very, very, very strong, with the caveat that they do not have the best team fight ultimates early. I think still you probably lose to Ravage, Requiem, even if they're both level 1, and they need to be aware of that, and I think they are.
I completely agree with you. The 5-on-5 for Gambit is a bit stronger, but the difficulty earlier, of course, is how do I get to force these fights? Which I think has been Blizzy's desperation. Like, he's trying desperately to try to accomplish something here in this map by playing a bit extra aggressively, trying to see if the enemy team will create a misstep. But honestly, well played by PuckChamp. They're not really playing into the enemy's game. It's really only Melis that is out of position. He's a Timbersaw, so there's no such thing as out of position for a Timbersaw this early, right?
It's very true.
And they're just putting pressure in the towers while they're accomplishing, while they're getting good farm on both their cores, which are relatively greedy. And now we have Necros level 3 on Lycan, by the way, with Shapeshift ready.
Okay, we also have a Maelstrom finish now on Johnny. They're going to smoke up. They're looking for a fight here. Melis is just such a difficult kill, but perhaps now with the Yule Scepter combo, they can go for it. The air.
Okay, let's see. The Ravage.
Counter initiate onto Duka, but that's going to be all that just for the Timbersaw.
But the Shapeshift got used.
Yeah, it did.
Look at this. Lycan walks in. Exus Vampire could be in trouble. Requiem of Souls have been charged beforehand because they were predicting this Lycan play. But now, thanks to the Grimstone, they catch a double electric vortex. The Supernova as well. And Xani could be in trouble as the Shapeshift is just too fast to run away from it. He manages to kill Puber, but Xani, thanks to the Moonlight Shadow, is capable of just hiding, right? They say you can't run, but you can't hide. Well, I guess the Monkey King just defies that saying.
Yep. Yeah, that was actually a little bit spooky there for Gambit. Good call there on the counterplay from PuckChamp. Unfortunately, I mean, it was a 1-for-1 there despite just about every single ulti being used and everyone out of spells. But only the Timbersaw dies and only the Maiden dies for Gambit. And it looks like Gambit, speaking of which, I want to fight a little bit more. They feel really, really strong off the back of this Maelstrom, and I got to agree with them here.
Yeah, this has been the build for Monkey King, right? We're completely replacing and taking over the previous Battle Fury build because it does both things great. Can you fight with it? Yes. Can you farm with it? Yes. What else do you want off an item, right? It's even cheaper than Battle Fury.
It synergizes beautifully with the Ags as well.
True. Yes. And that also gives you pushing power, so you get pushing power, you get fighting power, and the farming power in the same hero with just 2 items, which are not that expensive. It's great. The issue here, though, is I think they're just trying to defend the tier 1, because if they force a fight without Ravage and Wukong's command and
Requiem
and the Requiem, yeah, I don't know. You don't even have Moonlight Shadow. Like, you don't even have the initiation.
They really needed to use everything in that engagement. And I mean, hey, well played. I think they would come out on top there. Melis once again showing, but into the triangle they go. They're going to catch Pubber here. He's silenced up for a second. Drops a ward before he dies, but will not be able to do too much. As now, look at this. Melis perhaps in some trouble.
Oh, in comes Desperate. He wants to go for the SF, showing off his Orchid as well. Can they kill him in time? Yeah, the Lycan's even joining with his units, and Lorna will die. And here, my friends, is the power of the buffed Feral Impulse. Lycan no longer requires Shapeshift early to fight, because you can just send your units in, and they can do your dirty work for you.
Yep, especially because Howl as well is global, so it doesn't even matter.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
No,
well, global with your units, yeah.
Global with your units, yes, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So now Lycan can actually fight without the Shapeshift, which makes it a bit stronger early, and this is what they're trying to take advantage of. However, Grimstroke in a really bad position, might just get punished here by the Monkey King. He doesn't even get the Inkswell off, he's just going to die. But no big deal, it's just a support. You just killed the SF and took the mid tower. You're winning if you are PuckChamp right now.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Especially, I mean, you killed SF without using an ulti. I mean, frankly, that's amazing. You're telling me you killed a tempo mid laner without using any ultis? That's incredible. You're winning. I agree. That's going to be off the back of that Orchid, of course. We're going to be going next into our Kaya for Storm Spirit. So just looking to up his damage for now. Crit with the classic Drums of Endurance, which have been upgraded. Very aptly named, of course, to 8 charges. So you can use them a little bit more liberally now. Astral as well, going for the Yule Scepter here is quite interesting. Best way to counter an SF Yules is, well, with the Yules of your own, though, so can't really blame him on that one. Blizzy has another medallion. That's actually 2 medallions now on this team, going into the Solar Crest for him. So looking to annoy him. He does have this Hood of Defiance, though, making him, well, even tankier than he normally is. For the rest of the team, perhaps looking to start to push top. Blizzy looking to TP out, will be able to do so. But the rest of PuckChamp, though, they found Johnny in the top lane. Freezing Field will be dropped down onto Desperate. There's going to be the Supernova, though. Johnny, turning to a tree, tries to dodge the damage, won't be able to do so. And even though the Maiden does have 20 bonus armor, she still gets eaten up by crit. Excess Vampire is next. True Sight here on the Warrior. Really know where you can go. Lauren off, though, looking to turn with the Yule's combo and the Arcane Root, but the dog runs fast. Now they have finally no more shapeshift. Blizzy nearly dies, though. I think that was the last will doing a lot of work there. And all of a sudden, Lorinov finds himself out of position. Underneath the tier 1 tower, he will go. Melis continuing to chase him down. Desperate with decent mana here. Could zip on forward. Will do so. Arrow sails through. Does not catch anyone. Down goes the SF. Can they turn on to more? The Maiden doesn't have the damage. They're soul binded up to 2. Melis now diving the tier 2 tower. When will he stop? Not until everyone is dead, Avo. But look, Johnny's back. And he's dropping an ult. This is the longest fight in the world. But Johnny, yep, there's going to be more tips out from PuckChamp.
He killed Phoenix,
get the kill on the Phoenix. So hey, he got the Phoenix and the Storm, but one heck of just, you know, I think the train is entering the station here for Gambit or something. I don't know.
That was so odd. That team fight went really badly, and then Sonny's like, I'm just gonna carry you guys, literally. Wukong's command gets the only kills in that engagement, showing the strength of the Monkey King, totally. But still, we see that they're just not ready to fight just yet, right? Usually team fight lineups get stronger. They're not quite there yet, and the mobility by PuckChamp is better. I got that lag too, by the way.
I got it too. I was gonna say, hey, please play-by-play me, Mr. Radio Land, man. Yeah, that was just server lag, everyone. The players got it. We got it.
We're still in beta. It's gonna happen. They'll fix the servers when we finally release this game, right? So it's no big deal. By the way, since we're in pause, can I finally say something? I absolutely love PuckChamp's logo. Can we please get a PuckChamp with a Tokyo Ghoul face? Yes, please. We people unite.
Well, I didn't know
that is a great show, especially season 1.
I didn't know what it was.
Okay, I got it out of my system. That's it.
I was curious as to what it is because they're like their team banner has like just
it's Tokyo Ghoul, dude.
In a PuckChamp. Listen.
It's Tokyo Ghoul, mate.
All right.
It's amazing. It's great.
Okay.
One day I'll show you. I'll force you to watch it with me. Do not worry.
We'll watch it after we finish The Good Place. I think PuckChamp's here. Desperate's going to find himself a bottled Arcane Rune. Actually, or sorry, make that Regen Rune, which at this point is probably better.
It's definitely better. At Storm, there's no better rune, dude. In fact, talking about Storm, they go for the Mirana here, and with a Ghostly Wren, it's super easy to kill Excess Vampire. Goodbye to the Mirana, and look at PuckChamp. Already 2k in the lead, pretty happy with her lineup. Melis trying to go into the high gun, cuts on the trees, hopes for the Inkswell stun. Very well played by the Timbersaw, but not quite stunning at Lorinov. Instead, they silence him. He has a BKB. He could still use it. Wrecking Souls immediately, trying to push Melis away, but oh, it's a bait. He wasn't actually going to use it. But he does force the enemy team to back out. That's how you know he's a true SF player.
That's true. Yeah, it was a zoning one. I mean, he can't really use it right now. If he uses that, first of all, he gets literally nothing out of that. He's already taken a big L by popping that 10-second BKB just to live. But there's no follow-up. There's no Ravage at that point for another 30 seconds. Now it's up in 10. Monkey King has no Wukongs from earlier. That's up in another 15. So there's just going to be no follow-up. So unfortunately, that sucks. But that's the right play out from Lorinov.
Yes.
And you can kind of sense the desperation. Maybe. I think that's just being wise because PuckChamps, they know that right now they're in a good position. Melis can just tank the tier 2 tower for days, and they're just going to be looking to slow siege here. But now all the ultis are back up for Gambit, so we could potentially see a play out from them as soon as this BKB is back up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and Gambit needs to try to force, since they didn't have to use the Requiem there, now they have the full ultimates off, and forcing a 5-on-5 engagement would be ideal, but when you're losing and you don't have map control, it's very difficult to force these fights, except with the bait, like Blizzy's doing right now, or so it seems like, right? Lorinov is nearby, Blizzy's falling way too quickly though, and he won't be able to use Ravage in time. Now they try to hook shot to the Shadow Fiend, but it's like, I'm playing Timbersaw, so they can't really do that.
Wow, that Timbersaw damage was incredible. 545 pure damage, could not purge off that silence, unfortunately, so no chance to use the Ravage. And honestly, even if he wasn't silenced, I think he probably, again, just would have taken the death. There's no follow-up. Gambit, they're at this stage of the game already where they need their team fight superiority to try and turn this game back in their favor. I think late game, they're looking a little bit better here, but for now, the problem is actually getting to that late game. And it's going to be made especially difficult here as PuckChamps will be picking up the first roast of the game here right around the 20-minute mark.
Yes, because despite all the farming that you have, one of your mid laner essentially more of a space square than he is a secondary carry, as opposed to the Storm, who's very easily a win condition here. So in that sense, Gambit does suffer a bit, right? Their team fight is where they really... They don't have the carry potential that PuckChamp does, and there PuckChamp could take advantage by constantly forcing these haphazard engagements, just forcing these simple skirmishes with only 2 or 3 people, and taking advantage of the fact that you just can't out-carry them, especially not with a Monkey in SF.
Look at this build, by the way, on Crit. I was wondering why he wasn't really pushing it. They were pushing Sans Lycan, which is kind of really scary because now that Lycan is joining the fun, they're pushing farther. Yep, that's right. A second Orchid Malevolence.
That's really cool, actually. I like that. Wait, Blizzy in trouble. Lorna does have a Wrecking Assault, charges it up. Not much damage, but the fear does help to stop the Storm. Storm starts the Aegis, though, so he might lose his first life. Not even. Supernova used defensively, and they lost Pubber. Still no Ravage from Blizzy. They might kill him before he gets it up. Blizzy's dead, thanks to the silence. They guarantee a Ravageless Tidehunter as they go further. Storm loses the Aegis, but he's perfectly fine. Blizzy's forced to buy back. Ravage in hand. They only see Dukalis and the shapeshifted dog, but they do find the Storm. Perfect Ravage now, stopping Melis as well. With the Frostbite, he's unable to go back home. And those buybacks work perfectly in their favor. They finally managed to turn something around. However, I think that's still a equal trade, if anything, right? Because he did force the 2 buybacks. Not ideal for them, but it's the best they could muster.
Absolutely. I do apologize about that. The game audio increased on its own, but that now has been fixed. I sincerely apologize about that.
Oh, Dota.
My goodness. They're still fighting, by the way. At least they're picking up scraps at this point is really a much more apt way of saying what we just saw. I was really looking forward to that one. I thought that was an excellent fight from PuckChamps up until I saw our Storm Spirit start to ball lightning into the Wukong's command. I went, that's going to punish you very, very hard. A nice job there on Gambit. Once again, Blizzy, I didn't see what he got stunned by. It might have been an Ink Swell, but he had an opportunity for a pretty good Ravage in that first half of the fight pre-buyback, but just didn't get the chance. He got stunned, no good opportunity, but that buyback was beautifully executed there, and they turned the fight. Gambit, again, that's why they need all their ultis up at once. That's why I've been saying it so frequently.
Yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, PuckChamp is winning. They're, I would say, playing better, at least playing to their strengths better. But there is something to be said about Blizz's Iron Will, right? Knowing that even though you're about to die, don't use your Ravage there. You know that you have a buyback, fight it to your strengths. Don't just desperately try to throw it out being useful, because it's been the second or third time, really, Tidehunter dies without using Ravage. And the double silence is going to make this even easier now. He does dispel them, but you deal damage before that happens, right?
Man, look at the experience from Gambit. They see no heroes on the map, and they all position themselves incredibly defensively. This is great. I just love pointing that stuff out whenever I see it. Smoke's going to break. It's just Pubber. If Pubber dies, honestly, they're probably happy. Supernova. They were hoping to find Monkey King, and honestly, they almost did.
Yes. In fact, if he had completed his Icarus dive, he was very close to cutting down Monkey King's tree. But the Supernova does not cut down trees, guys.
It actually does.
Oh, sorry, it does not cut down trees that far.
It does.
He cuts down trees in the area. Yes, that's what I meant.
No, you're totally right. But hey, I think Gambit overall, that's a smoke. No one farmed during that time because it's just too risky for them. But now that they have vision and intel, a Supernova has been utilized. They're going to be a little bit more confident here and looking to fight. SF, though, with the Yule Scepter combo, blinks, BKBs, Requiems, free kills onto the sports. Thank you very much. Voronoff will take more of those to try and get himself that Lincoln Sphere that he's got queued up now.
Okay. I actually don't mind this, but like SF is going full initiation and like defensive utility, right? Blink, Yule Scepter, BKB, now with the Lincolns. He's not really going to have much damage, but usually Wait, actually, before that happens, a bit of damage towards Blizzy, as they also find excess Vampire. He managed to get the silence off. Doesn't really matter because he's a TP. Blizzy, though, could be in bigger trouble. He also has his own TP, but it's very difficult against a Storm. They catch Blizzy, and Tide, I think this... Well, maybe not with a Moonlight Shadow. Do they have any dust or anything? No need?
These are core players. They don't need detection.
You're right. What am I saying?
AoE damage.
Dust is for noobs, right? Who miss their skills.
Speaking of which, it dies again with Ravage on cooldown or off cooldown, and I don't say that as a way to flame him because obviously there's no point in ravaging there. But I wanted to actually touch on this because you mentioned it earlier how he's got Iron Will, this Blizzy, right? Lots of experience, definitely in the wheelhouse, you can tell, but also lots of trust in the teams, right? I mean, how many times have people tilted in pubs? Obviously, pro games and pub games not similar at all, but the mentality I think can be compared. You know, oh, you died without using Ravage. Why? We could have maybe done this, and that. I met the team completely trust them. They go, nope, we know when and when not you want to use that Ravage, and we'll just go and go off of that, especially when you're playing with someone as experienced as that, right?
I said this in a cast once, like exactly what you're saying about Omega Gaming, and their support player came on my stream just to go, no, I was screaming at him that he was a noob and he was a piece of trash.
That's different.
And I was like, well, I guess.
By the way, they got signed, right, Omega?
Yeah, they're on no ping now.
That's right, no ping. I just wanted to make sure I had the right one. I was pretty sure it was no ping, but yeah.
Sorry, CIS later, guys. I'm also doing that in Spanish. I'm very excited. But
yes.
we have the CIS right now, and as you say, yeah, Gambit, experienced team. They know how to flame when this happens. I find that the issue with Blizzy right now is not so much his playstyle, but he has to fulfill so many roles. He's the counter initiation for the team. He's also their main initiation, to be honest, because the supports are not offering any sort of reliable AoE stuns. He's kind of their best dead laner, besides Mirana, maybe. And Mirana's not really fulfilling that role because she has a Spirit Vessel. She's more of a hunter kind of ganker, right? So Tide is kind of doing 3-4 roles at once, and that's making Blizz's game really difficult. So a lot of his deaths are just a result of him trying to fulfill multiple roles because of the draft he drafted.
Another smoke here. They're going to catch Johnny. Perhaps they
broke the tree.
A big silence, though. Can they just CC him? They can. No chance to get that BKB off. Not too much else lost, however, but Crit is going to be looking to chase that, chasing them down. As Lorna looking to counter-initiate Blizzy as well with the Ravage on top. They want this like it, and they got him. Send him to the pound for another 50 seconds. Can they get any more, though? Desperate jumping, diving the tier 2 tower. There's no Ravage, there's no Requiem, there's no BKB on the asset, but there is Pubber, and he's got the freezing field, laying it down. There's the kill now onto the Storm, but the Supernova will eventually scare them off. But very, very well worth it out from Gambit. Nicely done. Each and every single ultimate really just so important, and Gambit is showing that here.
Yep, now they're hiding in the trees, hoping for a kill on Blizzy here, but I don't know about this one, yeah. That fake back with people dead, Monkey King is not there, maybe Gambit's not getting the damage. Blizzy does have a TP available though, as XS Vampire just dealing with Millis, making sure he can't kill off his Tide Hunter, and he didn't die. That's really great for Blizzy.
I love the Bullwhip. I think it's my favorite new item, just because you can bullwhip enemies. I think it's...
Or your teammates.
I think
Did you not hear the
great.
Slacks clip when he's like, I mean, this item is completely useless, but what's great about it is that I can whip my teammates into shape. And I was like, yeah. He knows how to play real Dota, right?
That's true. I just really enjoy its use on enemies. There's our Lincoln Sphere.
It's useless on enemies, though. Don't use it on enemies. It's much better on your teammates yourself.
It's just really funny. It's really funny is all it is. So there's our Lincoln Sphere completed for SF. Bottled Regen Rune. They're going to be happy to have that one off the table for Storm, as the Storm already incredibly powerful. Does need this BKB, though, and I think he's probably feeling like he's needed it 5 minutes ago. Not quite at the stage of regretting the Bloodstone purchase quite yet, but a couple more deaths and we are going to be getting there.
Yeah, that Storm, when you always have this dilemma as a Storm, is like, okay, if I buy Orchid and then Bloodstone, I'm being too greedy, you know? And then if you die a couple times, you know, hindsight 2020, you go, yes, I was too greedy, but it's too late to change that build around.
And you know what? I commended PuckChamp for their early game performance when he was building that Bloodstone, and I'm not going to back down from it now. I think Gambit are just playing these fights excellently.
As a true American. Exactly. Never back down, even if your opinion is misproven.
Nope.
I think the BKB is the right choice, though. It's going to be a huge point of inflection. And as you mentioned, I don't think the Bloodstone was the wrong choice. Considering the information he had available to him at the moment and how much they were winning, I don't think it was they should expect, you know, Gambit to start team fights, like next level team fights, really. Because Gambit has been doing a pretty good job of clawing back into the game. No, they're not quite there yet. I think the Monkey King Ags will be the next big strength point, or big strong point for them.
Yeah.
And then they should be able to fight around that.
I think we need a BKB as well for Lycan, which sounds a little bit silly, but if he gets a BKB, there's just nothing to stop him. I mean, except for Wukong's ulti, I would suppose at this point, especially because we are now actually have the Ags completed from Johnny. So that's going to be a little bit more threatening for him. Next, going into the Eye of Scotty here for the MK to build up and get some more stats, more damage, and they're going to smoke up here, on the back end of this Ags purchase. Alrighty here.
They have everything, literally every single teamfight ultimate, and as we mentioned, the Ags purchase. They see the Timber Saw, but they know not to go on the Timber Saw. Anyone but the Timber Saw. Okay.
No, they want the Timber Saw.
I mean, they kind of just gave up when their smoke broke. I think they were trying to back him, but they saw that there were people behind him. They're like, I like that they didn't commit, though. If they went for the Timber Saw, despite them having the Spirit Vessel, because Timber now has the Greaves, he can dispel that Spirit Vessel, and it's no longer easy to kill him.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised we didn't see like a double smoke there from Gambit. So we didn't see like a blink.
Really?
Yeah. A blink Yules into an arrow sort of setup to try and, you know, get something done
burst
there.
them down.
Yeah, but you're totally right about the Greaves. I'm just saying we do have some arrow set up, and here comes Melis again. Gosh darn it, they don't want him. Oh, they want instead this Lycan. Can they find him? Arrow into the Ravage as well. They've caught Melis from behind. Johnny has got the vision, and now he's got Bloodlusted here for Melis. They can kill him quite easily as well, even through the Greaves, and 2 more kills there for Gambit onto 2 very important cores. I'm starting to think that this Storm Spirit Eggs, or sorry, make that the BKB is really what PuckChamp at this point is kind of looking like their last hope in terms of their power spike.
The Storm BKB is, I mean, I don't know if last hope necessarily, but a necessity at this point. I don't think they can fight without it.
No, yeah, definitely.
The team fight, though, that went really well for them was Excess Vampire got caught. Desperate. I like that he's still trying to go for these skirmish kills because they can't really fight 5-on-5 any longer. As we mentioned, they're now got into their strong point in terms of team fight. But these skirmishes sometimes lead to casualties like this poor bird, Astral. What will PETA say? PuckChamp just leaving the bird behind, letting him die. Well, great. Anyway, the play with the Lycan was really good because the arrow actually got blocked by the wolves. So they had that planned, and they had the Ravage's secondary stun. Yeah, so that's why he only had one wolf there, because he blocked with the arrow. So very well played by the Lycan, but what are you going to do against Ravage? You're going to die anyway. So well played there by Blizzy, and they were always thinking with a contingency plan in mind. And something that Gambit does have that's much stronger than PuckChamp is their zone out. Wukong's Command, Freezing Field, Requiem, and Ravage are all great zone out skills. If you use them, you cannot walk in, especially with heroes like Storm who like to ball lightning in, you know, go ham and just be super safe because they know they can avoid all spells. Not the case with so much AoE damage.
And this is one of my favorite Dota quotes to mention. You'll probably know where I'm going immediately. As Sheever said, as Puppy said, sometimes it's not about the black hole, but the threat of the black hole. And because you mentioned all of this AoE, it's completely right. You know that, oh, the SF's out of position, let's all jump them. Wait, do you have vision on the Kunkka? I'm sorry, not on the Kunkka, on the Tidehunter, right? Because if you do, then great, jump him, you know, if that's what you should do. But if you don't know where the Tide is, he could very well be sitting right behind, you know, placing the bait there. He is a fish, so he's very good at that. And, you know, you could potentially just get that team fight turned on its head there. But
I agree.
No, but you're right. I mean, it's a lot of this AoE. You're completely right. And at some point, without a BKB, even a Lycan and a Storm are not going to be able to run their way through that.
And Moonlight Shadow adds to that, by the way. Moonlight Shadow adds to that kind of sense of uncertainty whenever you go into a team fight as PuckChamp. And the reason why they weren't able to execute this early Gambit is because they had no map control. Now that the map is a bit more in their favor, you can start to see their true potential. Melis, let's see. Lornoff does not activate BKB in time, and he could be in trouble. They actually burst down Lornoff completely with a double silence here. BKB on the Monkey King activates Wukong's command, but Supernova about to complete. Doesn't stun anyone. Doesn't really matter though. Wukong's command is destroyed as they kill off the Monkey King for the first time. Can they kill off a second time? Yes, they will be able to. He is just cannon fodder. 3 cores down, 1 bot back. The support joins the graveyard as the Tidehunter doesn't really know why he bought back to begin with. He has to defend the high ground now. That's a huge team fight for PuckChamp, which should allow them to take some nice objectives in return.
Ladies and gentlemen, wards win wars. That all transpired because of this Observer ward and that Sentry ward. They knew that they were going to jump onto Melis, and they baited him perfectly. They just set up outside of vision. They easily jump in and punish the crap out of Gambit for that. Gambit, though, they only use the Wukong's command, and Aegis, of course, so they're not completely out of it yet, but with no buyback here on SF, not back for 40 seconds, they are at risk of losing quite a few buildings here. Well, not mid anyway, because this tier 2 is still standing quite crucially, but looks like 2 lanes of barracks likely to fall. Just kidding. Just cursed it. Tidehunter.
I don't know. As you said that as well, it's funny because you said that and they immediately retreated, which I can only imagine they're hearing you right now. I'm just doing it to spite you. But yeah, I think that, so the advantage of PuckChamp's lineup as well is that because they're draft, they're really good at taking any team fight and turn that into objectives due to the Lycan, really. And that means that team fights are just more worthwhile for PuckChamp, right? Like for every team fight that Gambit wins, or sorry, for every team fight that PuckChamp wins, if you want to make up for that in terms of objectives, as Gambit, you probably need to take 2, maybe even 3, depending on what stage of the game you are.
Interesting.
So it's tough for you. So any sort of like comeback that you have is only a comeback if you never make mistakes. Any single mistake will be hard punished by PuckChamp.
That's a really interesting thing to point out, and at first I was going to try and find some way to contend you on that, but I actually completely
Of course, as
agree.
you always do.
And that's what God put me on this earth to do, honestly, Alvaro. No, but I actually completely agree, because if Gambit win a team fight, chances are, especially at this stage of the game, you had to use at least one of your ultis or 2, and none of your ultis are like as small as Chakra, right? Like they're all big team fight ultis. Chances are PuckChamp wins a fight. Maybe they had to use Shapeshift, probably very likely, right? Supernova as well. But that's about it. They're probably just ready to go again, right? You're not really waiting on Soulbind for much, right? That's not going to really help your push or anything like that. So I completely agree. Not only you know, the post-fight scenario, if PuckChamp wins, is so much better than for Gambit, right? Because if PuckChamp win a fight, if they lose a fight, and then all buy back, Gambit just have to run. There's nothing, right? But if Gambit lose a fight and buy back, and they don't have ultis, nothing's gonna scare PuckChamp away.
That's why it's so important for them to really have the utmost impact with their ultimates, which I do find that's why in the beginning I would have actually gone, and I think we did say it in draft, I don't know, but I like the dire draft a bit more because the ease of execution here to a large degree, right? There's a lot of pressure. Pretty much on Blizzy. Like, Blizzy right now is just on stage, you know, there's like his 5th grade play. He's never ever performed in front of people before. He's about to puke because the poor guy has to do so much. He has to push the lanes, make sure to be the tank in the game, but also make sure not to die, but also make sure to get the perfect Ravage. Like, Blizzy, please, you know, they're just tearing him apart with this, having a bit of an anxiety attack, this poor man. And I think we've seen it. With great Ravages from Blizzy, they can easily take team fights, but if the Ravage is just not perfect, it's very hard for them due to the mobility of PuckChamp's draft as well.
Or if he's just silenced, which sounds silly, but
has happened multiple times.
We've got 2 Orchids, remember? Yeah, there's one on Lycan here, and there's one on our Storm Spirit, which actually both make for great Orchid carriers, because guess what? They like running in ahead the rest of their team and silencing someone and just trying to nuke them down. It's been incredibly effective here against our Tide Hunter, who's gone for Phase Boot, so it's not like he can feasibly go for the Guardian Greaves now to dispel himself. And yeah, it's a bit of a problem. It might even be worth, honestly, can anyone build a Lotus here? Exodus Vampire maybe? He's going for the Mjolnir first, though. I
don't know, because who's going to build a Lotus should be the Tide, right?
I mean,
Tide has so much he has to do.
You're so right.
Maybe this game, Greaves should have been a consideration for the Tide, just to get the dispel. I don't know.
I can't
I don't think they were expecting double Orchid.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's really the thing that they're really having difficulties dealing with here at this point, is that double Orchid. Because, you know, I think normally your fallback is, Storm's going to build an Orchid, he's going to silence either our SF, or he's going to silence our Monkey King, or he's going to silence our Tide. Either way, he can only silence one of them, right? And then the other 2 are going to step in there, and they should be very easily able to dispatch of the rest of PuckChamp and follow up, blah, 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 right? But when 2 of those 3 are silenced, it becomes a very, very difficult thing indeed. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, a point I want to add about the Orchids and the silences, which I thought was really clever, is that the Orchid actually doesn't deal damage, by the way. When you silence, you don't deal damage. I know it seems stupid, but it's a great way to make sure you don't actually trigger that Kraken Shell. In this game, you really only have 2 sources of area damage, which is Timbersaw and Phoenix is, really supernova. So triggering the Kraken Shell is not easy. Like, it's really easy to avoid it. Lycan can just intertwine between you, Storm can bot lining away from the Tide Hunter, right? Grimstroke, just don't use Struck of Fate, please. You know, and you're fine. Tide will never get us to spell off. And with double Orchid, both of which don't deal any damage, you got 10 seconds with which you're fighting, which Tide can't use as Ravage. And that's all you need.
You're totally right. I mean, I think maybe some people's initial reaction might be, well, isn't that bad because then they don't kill him and then eventually he just comes back and ravages. Yes, but no, because I mean we've seen this plenty of times.
You're a big creep.
When you're a big creep during that impact. But also if you're silenced for 5 seconds, and let's be honest, I mean Dota is a game where 5 seconds. I mean in League you go 5 seconds. That's like half the game. You know, I'm locked down for that long. In this game, 5 seconds, you're dead you're dead 5 times over in 5 seconds, right? Let's be honest. Especially
I count that thing.
Especially
I can talk to ESL now. We did the free jab at League. All right, you got it, guys.
We got it.
Add those $50 to the contract.
I expect my bonus in the mail. But
yes.
But it's true, right? I mean, 5 seconds, you can kill an entire team in 5 seconds easily. And
indeed, particularly like in Storm, right?
Exactly. And so as long as you silence the Tide Hunter, he just stands there. He's a big creep. He's gonna solar crest someone, and that's his team fight contribution. You kill either the SF or the Monkey when he's silenced, and he's not going to want to Ravage when he's unsilenced. That's just the way the game is.
That's true as well, because you only have
a TP point. That's the exception. But generally speaking, in a 5-on-5 engagement, that's going to be the way it's going to play out.
You only have 1 source of damage realistically on Gambit. Like, SF is a good source of damage early, usually, but usually the whole shtick of SF is, guys, I don't need to buy any damage items, which is great, and you still deal a decent source of damage now, but you're not the main source of damage. That's definitely Monkey by a long shot. So the moment that Monkey's dead, as PuckChamp, you're pretty much safe, especially with heroes like Timbersaw or Lycan, which are relatively tanky. You need that damage. The SF doesn't do enough, which is remarks the point about the Ravage you were mentioning.
Definitely.
Look at Blizzy now. He's pretending like, guys, I'm still just pushing alone. I swear there's nobody behind me. There's nobody in this high ground. I hope you don't come and check. That'd be awful.
Gambit are doing a little bit of the the regular W bush here. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't be fooled again. as they're not going to be taking that bait.
Was that what he said? Exactly. I always remember.
He's got lots of quotes.
That's a good one. That's a great one. All right, Melis. He walks in. Okay, Monkey's just given a free Jingle Mastery. Not too bad. Shapeshift, Ravage, stopping him completely. Wrecking Assault's perfectly planned. And Crit is done for Melis as well. Look at that team fight by Gambit. They were not expecting that whatsoever. Blizzy got the perfect Ravages we were speaking about, and really good counter initiation by Lorinov. Now also finding the Phoenix, and they could stop his Supernova from coming out completely. CM from behind will end up dying, but honestly, it's a CM. She's meant to die at this point.
Yep. That was a 10-second BKB.
Oh, Monkey?
Oh, not
no shards, so he still takes too long for the tree dents to reach the storm, so he can't really chase after him.
I want to point out something huge here, and for posterity's sake, I'll just go ahead and explain it like this is the first time you've seen this item, because perhaps for a decent amount of your viewers, it is. This is a new Tier 4 neutral item added in 7.28 called the Stormcrafter, which activates a mini Cyclone for yourself for 0.75 seconds. Most importantly, in this game, it dispels you.
That's very true, and that's better than Yule's because you want a quick cycle in this case, just for the quick dispel. Oh yeah, because I always see this item as being absolute trash the majority of the time, but for this game particularly,
you couldn't have dreamt for a better item except for maybe the Minotaur Horn.
Yeah, and which they also got, by the way. So Ice Frog today, we know what team he's rooting for. It's fine.
Yeah,
he's a Gambit fan. I get it.
These are great neutral items here for Gambit. Let's take a look here at the neutral items that we have for PuckChamp, as they also have collected themselves all of their Tier 4s.
Penta Edge Sword is pretty great for Lycan. It adds a bit of attack range, but more importantly, it adds the MAME. For those of you that are old Dota veterans like myself, you remember MAME from Sanj. It's really the same effect. Yeah, literally the same effect. Well, I think it's maybe a bit buffed compared to Sanj, but it's the same idea. Reduces movement speed and attack speed. Really good for Lycan, because as Lycan, you kind of get to a point where you have to decide, should I still like commit to death push Lycan, death ball Lycan, or should I become a more real carry, right? And this game with the Orchid Assault Harass build and BKB as well, it seems more like he's going for the real carry build, and Penta Edge Sword really helps him in that sense. Old Lycans back in the day did used to build Sanjay quite often, particularly for that.
Yeah, and I mean, you still do have yourself a very nice leveler in your backpack, so you got the best of both worlds.
Yep, yeah. Leveler probably for when you want to do the death ball push, right? Yep.
Jump in.
Initiation here for the Mirana. He has a BKB, so they only go for the Mirana for now. They want to catch the Monkey as well. Monkey standing his ground, and they can't quite kill Xani.
The
CM. She has a BKB!
She's going in. She's like, guys, why didn't we fight?
She also used it to dispel her own Frostbite because she knows that the single misstep by this Crystal Maiden means death.
That's great. All right, so just to buy back there from Gambit, again, you're kind of happy with that. They're going to be able to slow down this Roche attempt. You did utilize not only Shapeshift there, but also the 9-second BKB here on your Storm Spirit, so it's 20 seconds till you have that one back up. No ultis used except for a 10-second BKB on Maiden, which honestly does kind of suck, because, I mean, BKBs are really powerful on Maiden, to be honest, but I think it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but you're a Maiden, right? So I think any team fight you come out and you're still alive at the end should be a success for you, honestly. Like, playing Maiden at this point in the game is like having diabetes and going for a Halloween trick-or-treat, right?
I mean, hey, that would be true, except you're forgetting that level 20 talent of 200 attack speed is actually very much needed against the Phoenix this game.
It's true. It reminds me of that post where they spoke what the 200 attack speed talent was for high ranks and low ranks. For low ranks is to buy Dezo, and for high ranks is to deal with wards, Tombstone, and Supernova. Yeah, exactly. The two ways of seeing Dota, right? Yep. Yeah. So what I'm asking is, Pupper, where's your Dezo? Right? I know you used to play carry. Do not lie to me. You can play carry Maiden easily, dude.
Yeah, I think he probably was a little bit in the carry mentality there, popping that BKB and hoping to round it. Yeah. I think the rest of the team's like, yo, baby, chill.
He's like, what are you doing, guys? Oh, okay. I see. You're afraid of the enemy team.
Let me at him. All right, well, here they go again. Another smoke, but Gambit very wisely
Axe on Storm.
High ground. They're jumping in, desperate though, finding Blizzy, as he will now be leashed up onto Stu. Now they're going to be looking to jump him. Another silence over there. It's going to be the BKB off the main. Supernova. Taking a lot of damage, but Crit right on top of him, as well as the Supernova doing tons of damage as they're working on the backline. But really, all the attention in the world is onto this Monkey King. Down he goes. Beautiful. Blizzy pops a BKB, but is unable to really get much done. They have lost the Storm Spirit, however, who has bought back.
That was still very well played, particularly by the Phoenix, because we talked about how good zone out Gambit has, but we do have one source of zone out in PuckChamp, which is the Phoenix Supernova, right? Perfect positioning for them there. Now trying to sneak a quick Roshan with a Lycan. It should be possible, but can they get there in time? I mean, this Roshan's about to fall. The arrow hits the Lycan. They can fight this. The Ravage Engineers too. Desper uses the BKB, takes the Aegis, fights the Mirana, kills the Mirana easily. The Tide can't do anything. Lornov is forced to BKB TP because he's completely useless in the face of death. They've lost the Tide Hunter and the Mirana, neither of which have 5-back. CM is just an extra treat. Why? Okay, sure. Gambit will have to defend this with only 2 heroes, and they also lost Roshan and Aegis. That fight could have been, I mean, it pretty much might be the game-winning fight for PuckChamp.
I think it was a very, very bold move to go for that Roche call there, as you said, but it worked out beautifully then. I will say, though, just because I think I nearly missed it, SF picked up the Refresher Shard, consumed it, got a Requiem off, BKB'd, and runs on home. Will it be enough to save the day? Honestly, I don't think so, just with the push. We were talking about it earlier, but this push is just devastatingly strong here off the side of PuckChamp. There's going to be no Tide Hunter for another minute, no Mirana. There's your 2 cores. I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to this one, though. SF does have buyback, but I think this is it. I think PuckChamp are going to take this game.
And it's the craziest of fashions after, I think the Phoenix Supernova really was what won them the game, forcing some couple bad buybacks, and then just fighting that Roshan fight. Ill-advised for Gambit. One simple mistake can lose you this game. Wukong's command, your ring is massive, but it doesn't matter if you don't deal any damage. And yeah, Timbersaw doesn't care. Look at this, the Monkey King desperately trying to force the enemy team out of his base. Activates BKB, this will be the last fight. Supernova's been used. Monkey, back to the fountain you go, as your Ancient's about to fall. The GG will be called, and PuckChamp will win game number 1 of this series against Gambit Esports.
Yeah, I mean, just very, very impressive game. This was really clean Dota.
me at all. I'm
That's
very
good.
happy with it.
Radiant
Like if you had given me maybe,
team
I think NA probably is my weakest region, if I'm honest with you. Maybe not anymore, but it used to be. But for CIS, I saw Blizzy and I saw Pupper as the stand-in. I'm like, fuck yeah, no lifers. They were my favorite team.
Don't 7 in this league. Man. Well. I have not. No, I don't follow. I like players for their plays, unless it's really.
Oh, you mean?
All right, ready to go. Okay, I actually have to sit up straight now. And okay, 3. You can go ahead and lead us off. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
10 seconds remaining.
Hello guys and welcome back. We're here in the first day of the DPC leagues. We're here in the ESL1 league, particularly for CIS Division 2, and we're watching PuckChamp versus Gambit Esports. You know, just inaugurate this wonderful league. We've already watched the first game where PuckChamp manages to bring it in the last second. A pretty respectable performance by both teams, but I think PuckChamp had the draft did them more favors, and they did play better, especially towards the late game. Less mistakes on their part. But now we're seeing Gambit can redeem themselves and a win in game number 2. And we're seeing that Gambit's already starting quite strong as they ban out the Lycan Phoenix, going, nope, never again letting you have that combo, ever, ever, ever. My name is Mr. Avo Plus. I'll be your caster for today, together with Second Strike, as we'll be leading you through the CIS Division 2 league.
Had a lot of Spanish flair in the way you introduced our names there. I like it. I like it.
What's I didn't think you could see me. Oh right, yeah, you can. There's a camera on right now. Oh my god.
How could I not see it? We've been over this. Never mind.
Mirana.
Yeah, it was just also in the intonation. Either way, though, the draft now really getting underway. The Mars will sneak through is a very, very highly impactful offlaner. Probably even more so, I would argue, than, well, it depends on the draft, right? But I think, generally speaking, I think the Mars is going to be more impactful than a Tidehunter in the offlane position. Again, I think it depends a lot on the draft, but I would say in terms of setting the tempo, which I would still argue is very, very strong overall in Dota right now, I think he's got way more impact than a Tidehunter. That's why I mean it really depends on the draft, right? Because that last game was a lot on the Tide, obviously. Yeah.
Ten seconds remaining.
There's a plate for him at dinner, right?
Radiant team back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're kind of right about that one. Yeah, and I want to move on to the opening picks from PuckChamp, because I think
10 seconds remaining.
Exactly, and I think that's real interesting because the Batrider is a kind of hard countered by the Oracle, of course, by really any strong Dispel, but also having a Dispel available on the support during the lane. And now we see the cores with the spells getting banned out, right? So the Slark, who is not that bad of a hero these days, is going to be a big one. Basically, it's just a free lane for Slark. Let me see, anyone else that self-dispels? Not really. So really, by getting the Oracle...
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
5 seconds remaining.
True. I would be interested in perhaps, this is something I've been tinkering around with and been looking for, but maybe an ABBA position 5, especially because Orb of Corrosion's so strong. Yeah, position 5. No, I don't think it's quite ready for that yet. And I can't claim to know that much about CIS to see if I know it's one of these guys' sneak picks, but I will actually.
Puck is picked.
Ducalis here on PuckChamp, which is obviously the team that doesn't need it, does play a little bit of ABBA, so interesting.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I've never seen it either.
The Ember Spirit is going to be the safe pick here for Gambit, right? Just a very solid mid laner. Does well against what they have for now. A bit weak against Oracle because he does carry double spell, which is great against your steering chains. But in general, Ember's just solid. Right? You pick him when you don't exactly know what to draft just yet, and he's going to allow you to have a bit more time. He's not going to lose most lanes, and there's very few matchups that Ember is not useful in. He also fulfills a variety of roles, right? Because he could be a space creator, because he's one of actually, out of the spirits, Ember, I would argue, is one of the easiest to rotate with, because even if he loses his lane, he's still useful. But at the same time, if you need a late game carry, you got him too, and that's fine. This mic is actually, by the way, fake.
That's a bold statement there, Avo. I might challenge that. I don't think it's going to be a mid lane Earth Spirit, but I would maybe even say a mid lane Earth Spirit rotates a lot better than a mid lane Ember.
Oh, sure. Sorry. Okay, I guess the Earth Spirit I never considered into the three brothers mid, but you're totally right. I would say Earth Spirit is probably the strongest in that sense. That's how you play him, right? The early mid game. Yeah. But I would say compared to the more traditional mid laners of Ember, Storm, and Void, Void Spirit is really good at getting rotations as well, but he does require a bit more farm than an Ember, who just really requires a bit of levels, and he's very, very solid.
That's totally right. I don't know. I think the Earth Spirit core is very, very viable these days, though, especially because, I mean, we were playing...
But you're also an Earth Spirit spammer, so...
I am, but remember, we were playing a game some time ago, and I was like, why do I have this much HP? Oh, right, I have got like the best strength, or some of the best strength gains, and an insane agility gain in the game. Like, I think it's just so strong here, just with levels alone on the Earth Spirit. Much like the Ember, you're still incredibly impactful, and you kind of counter the Ember.
I mean, you know, Puck is a very popular 4 and 5 pick, particularly in CIS in Europe, which is where I think it got invented. And I think every mid laner in CIS... I mean, actually, CIS support pool is mainly composed of old mid laners as well as like a massive thing. So a lot of supports here knew not to pick Puck. Not the case in PuckChamp, but still, you know, could be a thing. They might want him as a 4 or 5. It's not a bad thing, or 4 rather.
It could be. This would be weird, especially with a Bat Rider. It could be a 3. I don't think it's a thing, but Melis does have 10 Puck games under his belt professionionally. So
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, Melis is a pretty solid Puck as well, and at least from what I saw him back in the day when he first came out into the scene, you know. His Puck was quite decent because much more popular as an offlaner, and you could rotate it to get an easier lane against Ember because Bat Rider destroys Ember in lane, whereas Puck is even. So that is a consideration. You see this a lot in South America, particularly, where they really try to destroy that mid lane. You'll see this maybe a bit more in SCA. I've also seen it a fair amount where they really try to go for strong mid laners. I think in Europe and CIS is less popular, but we'll see.
And of course, with last pick, PuckChamp do ultimately have their way with
the decider pick.
So that's why that's why we bring things up. Otherwise, I'd be like, oh, but they don't have last pick, so whatever. But this time,
what carry do you pick though? Because you want to pick a carry that can deal with a Bat Rider potentially, right? Because if he goes off lane, you don't want to get crushed. Yeah. But what carry do you run against?
Even if it's like a position 4, you don't want it to get crushed, right?
Yep. Although all the traditional dispelling carries, which are the Slark, Phantom Lancer, Juggernaut, Lifestealer, well, Lifestealer is gone because of the patch, but the rest are gone because they've been banned. I mean, he's just so trash. I don't know what they were thinking. So, what do you pick here? Options that are still good against Bat Rider that are kind of popular. Well, I haven't been seen as Weaver, for example, is pretty decent. Void is also up there in terms of Bat Rider counters in lane.
I mean, this is not for the lane, but it's more for the game. Is something like a Wraith King? I was kind of thinking. You steal me once, that's fine. I'll come back. The problem is you're incredibly likely to get kited out by the rest of this PuckChamp team, notably the Puck and Earth Spirit. There's really, really big issues. The disarm from Oracle, it's not good, but something along those lines of we start thinking just because Wraith King's got like a 58% win rate or something crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, Ricky's another good one. Anything with mobility in that bottom lane is pretty popular as well. Yeah, Ricky's not bad. They're gonna go for the Luna. Okay, Luna is much more of an old school counter. Still always alive. I think CIS and SCA never stop picking the Luna ever, you know. And SCA it's much more with the Shadow Demon combo, and CIS is just Luna's the best thing in existence. Something about, you know, the Scottish you just really love, and it's decent against Bat Rider. I wouldn't say it's a good lane. It's not a bad lane either. You're ranged, so you can kind of deal with him. You have enough movement speed to run away. The Eclipse can really punish when the Bat Rider tries to dive you, especially if you have good experience. So it's not a bad pick.
Yeah,
I don't love the Gambit draft too much though. It's just a bunch of good heroes, but I don't see much of the synergy between them.
I think this Ogre is going to have a terrible time in this lane versus the Bat Rider or the Earth Spirit or really whoever he's up against.
That's true.
Puck in the off. I mean, this Ogre, this poor Ogre is going to be not useless because it's still an Ogre and he's tanky and has insane armor and HP regen, but this is about as poor as an Ogre game I can actually think of. So that's going to be tough because that means the Luna, she's going to have at least a meat shield in front of her. but not for much as long as she would probably like, especially depending on how PuckChamp want to set the tempo in their own offlane, and we've already gone through quite a few options of their own. But it looks like they need a carry here for PuckChamp.
Yep.
For themselves,
some classic counters to Luna. I'm thinking like actually something going back to the old school, like something like Gyro, for example, which is decent at dealing with her. Lifestealer is actually kind of good here.
The Monkey King. Yeah.
Just go for the. Actually, the Right King was a pretty decent pick for them too.
I was gonna say right for the glaives and the but the Monkey King is good.
Monkey King is fine. Yeah, why not? I mean, you have really good ways to utilize that ultimate, right? So that's perfect. So it's a solid pickup. I think the Monkey shouldn't have too difficult a lane with the Mars. It's not an easy win, even though Mars is melee. He can push you around, so it's not so easy to trigger your passive. But it's fine, right? You could last that, and then your mid game against Luna could be really powerful. I want to see how they play the Luna though, because CIS, because Luna's so popular here, was one of the regions that. It was very popular to go for like MOM into Ags, to go for like a tempo Luna and then build her into a carry with like Manta style BKB. And I like that build a lot. I was surprised all of the regions didn't copy that build. In fact, FNG used to run that all the time in his teams, and whenever he played, he used to love that kind of, tempo, magic damage Luna with a late game potential. And if you run that, the Monkey King struggles, because the extra armor from Wukong's command is useless against Eclipse, especially with that.
Not only that, right, but you farm pretty well at range as well as lane, which you really do need. I think a Lucent Beam build here for lane for Johnny is going to do wonders, as it will be the Bat Rider in the offlane. So you can't really get close to the creep wave. That's not really an option here for the Luna. So actually, I really like the idea of that. You can actually even reach Oracle quite nicely, just because there's some decent range on those. I think I like the idea personally.
Yeah, it's a bit unsafe though, because what you do when you go for this Luna is you kind of... So when this was played very often was when Luna was a really trash pick, because she just didn't do enough early and you just had to perma-farm on her, right? This was very popular around the time when the meta was a bit faster. So then Lunas would have to go for this build, because if you didn't have any tempo, you would lose. Right now, the option is not so much. It's a bit of a gamble when you go for the Ags. You kind of have to get kills on Luna.
You might even say it's a bit of a Gambit.
So anyway, I think it's a consideration this game. It's not a bad idea. Against Oracle and Puck, it could be a bit of a difficulty because of Phase Shift and Fate Seek. We'll see. I'm not giving you that one. I'm sorry. I know you want to say I'm not giving you.
That's literally what a Gambit is, though.
I know, it was too perfect. I don't want to give it to you, because then you're going to start making puns. Like, I live with this man. And then he goes around and he just makes puns to me. He doesn't even say hi anymore.
I don't. I just say, what I do is I get my top hat on and I say, top of the morning to you, Alvaro. And that's that.
I puke every morning every time he does that. I'm so skinny thanks to that. I lost so much weight.
Astral's a pretty darn mean Earth Spirit player here as well. Just want to point that out. Nearly 30 games on the hero with a 65% win rate is pretty darn impressive. Of course, some of the times these stats are a little bit skewed, especially when you have some of the newer blood teams on the tier 2 or even tier 1 scene, because they're kind of just smacking around some, lower division teams. But I mean, that still is a lot of practice here on the hero. So I'm really, really looking forward to how he will play this one out.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that this team is necessarily bad when he says that. It means that he participates in a lot of tournaments where they have teams that are just... I wouldn't even say amateur, maybe say pro, right?
Yeah,
they don't play full-time.
Up to scale. They're not up to the scale of
like the tournaments on Eeples, for example, which you fucking participate in.
Yeah, that's actually where a lot of the stats, funnily enough, where PuckChamp's games come from, actually, is when I was taking a little bit of a dive. So yeah, no, totally.
I mean, we casted them in the Global Leagues, dude.
Oh,
yeah, I know you don't remember.
No,
because they were on a different name. No. I remember them very much because they were like, "Oh wow, this team is really good." So you could tell. Anyway, I think this game in terms of draft, I think again the ease of execution falls on PuckChamp. They have a much more solid draft in that sense. I don't much see a synergy for Gambit, but they have very solid heroes. So jury's still out. It's easier certainly than last game. They don't rely so much on team fight, and their lanes are pretty strong. And we're seeing here that thanks to Luna's laning phase, the batter is going to struggle a bit early, but later he should recover a bit.
Yeah.
Like once he gets level 3, 4.
And Astral with boots is going to be able to do a lot of creep lane shenanigans. You can already see he's looking to skip one wave. Hubbard is going to try and slow him down, both with boots here, interestingly enough, here on the position 4 and 5.
Oh.
Earth Spirit is going to have way more mobility. Earth Spirit 4 with boots isn't too out of the ordinary, especially versus an Ogre. You can't go head-to-head with him if he does go for the Ignite or the Venom build. Yep. It's a losing combo for Earth Spirit. So the boots make sense, but I'm surprised that Hubbard as well went for boots. So perhaps
predictive, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really, really wise. That's really incredible. So good stuff there, as we'll see Johnny just kind of CS here at much more ease now that the Bat Rider doesn't have any support here locally.
Yeah, I really like this build actually. It's quite clever because he actually is able to go head-to-head with the Earth Spirit. Earth Spirit is forced to pretty much take this creep wave, and he's not able to get a lot of last hits either. Usually the 4 takes a creep wave worth of experience, but Pupper's denied a fair amount. And Pupper can play it super aggressively because he knows there's no way to kill him. Not with Boots anyway. He's way too tanky here.
Not without Boots and not without an Orb of Venom on the Earth Spirit, absolutely.
Exactly, because he knew the Earth Spirit went for the Boots as well. So as soon as you saw that, you're like, okay, he's lacking kill potential.
Melson's for Boots as well, I believe, or maybe just first item Boots straight away.
And windless as well, so it's just full mobility. I mean, when it's a Luna, best way to counter her, right? Her best asset is her incredible movement speed. You counter it by going for more movement speed, you know?
Fair point. Fair point.
Right, it's just that simple, right? That's why Luna is back to the old TI3 kind of Dota style.
I think her best asset, personally speaking, is her night vision, but, you know, that's just me.
Okay, alright. Sure. Well, creepy man wants to look at things at night. I like her movement speed. I think she's really useful because of that. It's like an escape mechanism and just a passive ability, essentially. It's very, very useful. And her laning is strong, though. But I don't think Monkey King's laning is anything to scoff at either, and we're seeing this, right? Mars can't quite play aggressive against Monkey because you always have to save the spear for when Monkey's trying to get that Jingle Mastery off on you, and then you stop that from happening. But you can't really play aggressively and force kills unless you have enough damage to ensure a burst down on the Monkey King.
Yeah, and that's rather difficult here, even with the Blightstone on the bottom. Monkey King, agility hero, lots of base armor, so it's not really going to be doing too much damage to him. And Monkey King's basically, if you're going to set up that combo onto him, then he's going to be getting his Jingu stacks, like you said, and life stealing back to full. So it's kind of a losing combo there, at least early on there for Gambit. Mid lane's a bit of an interesting one, though. Puck versus Ember. Lots of very classic sort of mid lane matchups we've gotten here. Might just be a trade of CIS Dota, but last time what was it? SF versus...
wait, go top, go top.
All right.
Pupper is about to be burned alive. That is the funniest thing. The Pupper just got like 5-6 stacks on him, right? And then he activates Firefly, and Pupper goes Fire Blast and walks right towards the enemy tower trying to commit suicide. And Banner has to chase after him just to try to prevent him from dying against the tower and dividing the gold. I say suicide just in terms of dividing the gold, by the way, guys. I know you can't commit suicide like that. But it was sequence of events of Pupper just going, nope, I am dying to the tower, you're not going to kill me, Bat, and Bat desperately chasing after him. Quite funny.
Haste Rune spawns bottom. Lornoff is going to be able to easily snag that one as both supports will actually rotate on over to ensure that one. Haste Rune then in the bottle versus the Puck. Not going to be too useful once that Dream Coil comes out, though, and there is a bit of an advantage here. A good, about third of a level here advantage in favor of our Puck, so it's pretty noteworthy.
One of the things that Puck's
onto our Monkey King. They have no spear, however. Do they have the damage onto crit? He's running for his life, and they've got the Oracle there to save his life, as well as just a couple of stick charges to keep him nice and alive.
Yeah, another attempt at the spear, but unfortunately he's not going to catch the Monkey King, and he ends up healing completely. Well played by the Oracle as well. A bit of save is also nice in this lane, making sure Monkey is not the easiest kill, especially if he plays out of position, which is why Crit is capable of going for a bit more dangerous farm. Yeah. I was going to say earlier, though, is we spoke earlier about how Ember is one of the faster ones out of the Spirits, but Puck is even faster than that in terms of ganking, right? He was one of the fastest mid laners in general.
Not fast now that hasted up is
not with the haste.
Yeah. We do have the Illusory Orb. Bottle picked up. Lornoff. Ooh, not really sure what he was thinking, but with the Earth Spirit there, that kill is very unlikely, even with the haste stream. Bot lane, though, that one's looking a bit better, as Duka is going to be able to catch the arrow. Spirit to the tree is crit, so he can't really do much to stop that one from happening.
Yep. And unfortunately, I mean, the crit is still farming nicely, so it's not that big a deal, you know, killing the Oracle, but it is helpful to the Mars, because as we mentioned earlier, Mars is a bit of a tempo setter. You kind of want your lane to go a bit in your favor. You don't have to dominate it, but get enough farm so you can actually fulfill that role as tempo setter, and these kills help you a lot. The sooner you get these kills, the sooner you put pressure, the sooner you can take this tower, and the sooner you can rotate to actually create pressure elsewhere with your Blink Dagger or Yule Scepter or whatever. And Blizz is going to go for a Soul Ring this game, which is kind of necessary. That's going to delay the Blink or Yules a bit more. Wow, that's great. He dropped the Infused Raindrops to not lose a charge there. Oh.
Yep, value.
The small plays, huh?
The small plays. That's what it's all about. Another rune here, bottled up for Ember. At least she's going to be try, but the rune spawns top lane, and now we're going to see this beautiful combo. Oh, don't even need to kick him here, but they have. Oh, and that actually might have just saved his life, as the Illusory Orb need to travel that much further. That means that Lornoff is going to be A-okay. He's going to TP on home, leaving a Remnant behind, and he'll be right back. So the first Remnant Boulder Smash combo is a failure here, unfortunately, for PuckChamp.
Nope, they're not gonna manage to get that. No kills just yet. Mirana being slightly more impactful than Earthspirit. One of the strengths of Mirana, of course, is she's just also a strong laner on top of a strong ganker.
Yeah, she's just
Earthspirit is much more around the... She really is. Yeah, Earthspirit is much more around the ganking the mid lane, and against an Ember, it's tough, right? Especially if it goes for Flame Guard, Sleight of Fist build, it's very difficult for you and a Puck to get the kill on the Ember.
Oh, look at that. Do you know how hard Excess Vampire had to try there to nullify any attempt at a push when he arrowed the wagon? Just incredible. Incredible gameplay out from the Mirana. That's not a hate on Excess Vampire. That's just hate on the hero.
I know. He should join the PPT hate club. He also absolutely hates that hero.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Do you not see his tweet where he's like, I played a Mirana and, for the first time and I went 9, 6, and 15. It was so difficult. I could barely hit 15 on my arrows. Yeah, it's like a very sarcastic, very good tweet though by him. I completely agree. Anyway, Blizzy in the bottom lane in trouble. Now they go with a stun. Not too much damage despite the passive. Blizzy and trigger that Jinko Mastery. Nicholas could be in trouble and they might almost kill him. Mirana's going from the Fate Seeding, stops her from getting the skill. She does still have 2 leap charges, but has to reserve him from playing defensively. She loses her courier. And they're going to end up, well, not getting the Oracle, instead losing the Mars. Top lane, Ogre Magi is going to be burnt alive. Second time this happens, and now success everywhere for PuckChamp.
Yeah, this time they had to utilize the lasso there, but that's fine. What are spells if not to be used, right? What are they there for anyway? And good kill there. Decent space, though, for Zanny. I think this is something that perhaps I'm a little surprised by, but very, very little pressure actually applied. Ogre just tanking the brunt of this. You know, it's a lot like how Schofield will play in company, right? Just Fear, especially, is on the position 5 role right now in his position 1. But he is very well known for this, at least in the NA region. So very, very well played there. To our poor little Ogre here, Pubber is then going to have to rotate over onto the bottom lane. So Gambit, even with the stand-in here, doing pretty well for themselves in terms of getting their carry farm.
Granted, the stand has a lot of competitive history with a lot of the players, right? So it's not like it's completely, you know, a pub player for them. As I mentioned, Pubber did play with Blizzy for a really long time, so they do know each other quite well. Dukalis could be in trouble. Yeah, the arrow's also very nice, and Lorenov's like, mine, and takes the kill.
Yeah, and that's
that wasn't yours, by the way.
Trinket.
That's the definition of a kill steal, but okay.
I don't know what you mean. He earned that kill. He had to walk all the way over there.
And use Sleight of Fist? Like, you know how hard it is to hit the Oracle? He's so skinny. Anyway, the face boots are completed on Lorenov now. Thanks to the Oracle kill, or with this tower he'll complete them, and they'll be able to take the bottom tower nicely. And this is very important for Mars, because this timing allows you to now start rotating more freely with Mars, as you gain much more map control. But top lane is also falling for PuckChamp, so it's kind of an even trade right now. Yeah, laning stage is already beginning to break down. I think that just happens quite naturally when you've got some very, very fast tempo-based heroes, right? Everyone wants to start doing their thing ASAP, and that includes rotating away from a lane that is honestly just not the fastest farm for you. So everyone's just going to want to do that, get their farm, get their items. They're going to probably reconvene. Let's see here. Boot to travel on Batrider is absolutely massive, though. 9 minutes timing on that one is very, very impressive. Not bad.
And here we go. Speaking of which, immediately he's going to make the rotation. Duka nearby. They need a little bit more damage. Well, onto Blizzy, and they have it. Lorenov nearby as well. Still has a remnant to use, but the team rotating over. He's going to want to stick around and fight as Pubber running on over onto Duka, giving him the bloodlust here. No one to TP. No point to TP anyway for PuckChamp, as now Lorenov could be in some trouble. It's going to be actually leashed down. They're going to look to jump onto him now, and they have the magic damage there with the maxed Waning Rift and the maxed Illusory Orb. Nice kill there. Pubber, unfortunately, he's going to be left without really too much to go. He's going to TP out, however, and he is going to be then the only fatality on his side here. But there we go. Batrider here is going to be the best.
It was 2, right? Because Mars died.
Very good point. Thank you. But yeah, Melis just proving the point, right? He's just, I got my item first, but I'm ready to fight.
Forgot Mars. I know that you're making a point there, which is that Mars doesn't really feel like a hero right now, and it's true. Like because they had to rotate to help him win his lane, right? He couldn't quite get the experience and couldn't quite be the tempo setter we were speaking about earlier. And now he's going for Soul Ring Yule Scepter, which is not great because they both provide a lot of the same, which is the mono region, right? That's what you usually go Yule Scepter first if you need the mono region, but then it's very common to skip the Soul Ring, because why would you need Soul Ring then? But he needed Soul Ring for the lane, and now he's still going for Yules, because it's definitely the better item in this game.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Blizzy to have the impact that we expected out of a Mars, so we're going to have to rely a bit more on the rest of Gambit to make up for him. We already have Mask of Madness on Luna, though.
That's a good point. I will say, though, that to your credit, right, just to explain why Blink Dagger is not going to be as impactful, simply put, it's going to be just impossible to catch the puck. You need the Yule Scepter, and speaking of catching the puck is catching you. Do they have detection? No, but they have plenty of AoE damage, and Moonlight Shadow's going to end. He's going to be silenced immediately after he puts down the arena, so just, again, not really feeling like a hero until he gets that item or two, and Melis, Puck, Earth Spirit, this, again, a very, very mobile draft from PuckChamp, so they're going to smoke up and look for another kill. Very, very well played by PuckChamps.
Radiant are
Yeah, after the smoke, I'll say something about this region I really love that they just did here, but I don't know if the smoke is going to be successful because the Battle Rider, okay, they scan to no. Very, very well played actually with the scan. They find excess Vampire, should be an easy kill, unless, no, Rolling Boulder barely leaped. Hero seems very balanced, she still has one more leap to go and might even be able to counter-initiate. That is done with her. I'm going to kill the Mirana, and down she goes. Monkey King even joins in, no Wukong's command because he hadn't put the point in it just yet. We do have False Promise on the Oracle though. They're going to use it on Melis, accepting Ducalis is going to die here. Melis will have to just run away. He has Firefly on, finally gone. But he's going to heal a lot thanks to that False Promise.
Yeah, you got two charges off there of the Fortune's End.
Right, so
next,
So what I was going to explain beforehand was that something I really like about CIS region is that you actually look at how Dota works in terms of spaces. Usually this bottom lane becomes the easiest lane for Gambit to farm because they took the tier 1, right? So it's why they're putting Blizzy here so he can recover. But in CIS, they very often, I notice, play with smokes or something where they try to go for the lane where everyone's farming and play against the traditional Dota way, as we see Melis here, right? They're playing in a way where it's really hard to read them, and there's a bit of surprise factor, and there's a bit of just trying to destabilize the enemy team, and a lot of CIS teams do this. And now Melis might get punished for it, but if he doesn't, this play ends up being really good. No, he does. Searing Chains, they catch him, Fire Blast, and Melis will die. This will happen sometimes when you play what is called the anti-space, right? Where you play completely opposite of what you're supposed to, but they're doing this on purpose because sometimes this creates too much of a... It's too difficult a plan to follow. And Gambit, despite the fact that they keep trying to recover on Blizzy, are unable to do so at any point.
Okay, yes, and I just want to point out, first of all, space created is what you kind of just said. But space created for what? Well, now we have, I believe the Witch's Blade nearly completed here for our Puck, already with the Blitz Knuckles, and we just need a little bit more CS there for the recipe, that piece of paper to tie it all together. Monkey King in the meantime here for Krylat, he's got himself nearly the entire Aghanim Scepter. In fact, he just needs the Point Booster, I believe? Yeah, no, there's the Staff of Wizardry. So he needs one more component. So he's making excellent progress here as well. And all that really just off the back of the Bat Rider, right? Yes, the Earth Spirit's playing a pretty darn good game, 0-0 and 4, the perfect support score so far. But it's really a lot on this Bat Rider, as you've already pointed out.
Yep. What do you think of the Monkey going for Eggs before Maelstrom this game? Actually, hold that thought, because Astral... No, never mind. Astral's God. He's fine.
He's fine, yeah. Mirana is going to be even hard-pressed to catch up to that one.
Even if Mirana can't catch up to you, right? You've done something right in your life.
She needs to be buffed.
Yeah. I think Leap should have a bigger range, right? Maybe she should have like some sort of like shard that gives her an extra leap charge and maybe crit? I don't know. Call me crazy.
I think it should turn it into a global cast.
You can use it on all heroes.
You click where you want to be and you're there. And also everything just dies when you leap there. There we go.
Also remove charges. Just make it like a 0 cast point skill. Like no cooldown whatsoever.
They really want to fight here though. Gambit, are they ready? What do they have? They have the ulti.
They have the high ground is what they have, Richie. That's why they want to fight.
There's the Mask of Madness build that you talked about, but it's instead going to be, I think, more into just
the safe build.
Yep. So Yasha into BKB, which I think is fine and appropriate this game. I think really now that you don't,
it's the right choice.
Well, you have a Mars, but not really. He's still just farming, right? There's a reason why we see the Mars only farming, and instead the Bat Rider running around bullying the Mars, right? There's a very specific reason for that, and that is because the Mars, simply put, is just too weak right now. No one on Gambit can really set the tempo at this stage of the game, and that's a real problem. That's why it takes 4 heroes to kill a simple Bat Rider at this stage. And for now, PuckChamp, they need to try and exploit this weakness for as much as they can in, I would say, about the next 7 minutes or so here before Gambit start to get some items running.
Yeah, exactly. Once Luna is farmed enough, though, they should be able to fight Astro. Really nice silence, by the way, there. And they continue the silence chain. Pupper's like, guys, please. Someone just killed me. And he has Witchblade, actually, on Desperate, which is
a lot of damage.
a build that we sometimes see on more dominant Puck players. I think it's fantastic. Very much of a Puck build, though. And it does add a lot of damage to the Puck.
Radiant's bottom tower
Not in this case. I'm going to go for Blink Dagger on Puck, which I like. Right? It's a mix of... It reminds me a bit of when Limp used to play Puck, right? Where he went for the kind of hybrid build where, yeah, I go for a bit of damage and Desert Maelstrom, but I also go for Blink Dagger and some ability and Yule Scepter or something. Somewhere in between. I think he's also somewhere in between there, so.
There's Axe completed by Krylet as well, 16 minutes into the game, a little bit before probably because he's got...
Right, so what do you think of that, though? What do you think of Axe before Maelstrom? Now we can discuss it.
I think generally speaking, I think it's probably bad form. I think if you do that, you'll probably generally lose a lot of games. But here, because the offlane was just so farm, they're going to try and turn this one into a Roche as well, and apparently Roche doesn't care that he's just being whacked on by 3 monkeys.
Roche is like, something is happening to me. I feel a strange pain. And should I go to the doctor?
Yeah, that's what it's like to have a toothache, I'm sure, or something like that.
Actually, I had this recently, so yes. And then I had to check about healthcare, and I was like, I shouldn't go to the doctor.
This is like Visage when he can sit the birds up here and do Roche.
Is this why you went to Ags? Is this really the idea to cheese the Roche on?
This is a thing, to be honest.
This is the dumbest thing in the world. This is so stupid.
What's wild to me is that, like, you Spirit Breaker charge past Roche, and he's gonna bash you, right? He doesn't care. He's You do this, he doesn't care.
Oh, Oracle! You woke up the beast!
You messed up. They've awoken the sleeping giant, except it's much too late. This Roche is completely dead.
Did you see that? It was just the second that the Oracle walked in, Roche was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's murder these people.
Actually, more specifically, interestingly enough, it was as soon as they broke
it was
the
charging the Fortune Sun. Yeah. I mean, I know. I was just making the joke of him charging the Oracle, but you're right.
Why?
I don't know. That was a really weird interaction.
Do you think that's...
I don't know if Valve please fix or Valve keep it in the game. I mean, it's a feature until they fix it. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of how Valve works. You're right about that one.
Is this even fair, though, Richie? Who is to say? Right? Who is to say?
Is that balanced?
I don't think so.
You buy one item and Roche just dies? I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think there's some room for discussion there. But let's be honest, that took a long time.
Favorite clip of all time.
Yeah.
Second favorite clip now after the Slacks hotkeys. That's my favorite clip.
that took a long time to Roche. And Blizzy and the rest of Gambit have made use of this space. What have we got now? Blizzy has the Yule Scepter, so although he's still playing from behind and is currently being chased away into the trees by enemies rotating towards him, he now has finally an item that can potentially have some game impact here. Our Luna, not a Morana, is farming at an incredible rate. Nearly has actually a full BKB ready to go. Lorinov as well with nearly a full BKB ready to go. The question is, will it be enough? What are your thoughts there against Witchblade and now Blink Dagger Puck?
I don't know. I don't know if that's enough, to be honest. I mean, I think that Luna went for the most useful items possible. Maybe with Eclipse. Like, if you have Eclipse out, I think maybe yes. Okay, low enough. Okay, he breaks the Dream Coil, which sets up for the Silence and the Fortune's End and everything. I mean, I think even if he didn't break it, he was dead. So
yeah, he was
not
really
much of an option.
Not to mention, of course, the BKB on our Bat Rider. So just incredible farm here on our Bat, who is actually more farm than Lorinov is. That might not surprise you, considering the way we just saw Lorinov die.
Yeah, that was a bit odd. That was a... I think his positioning was a bit weird, right? Because a lot of people now argue as well that the mid lane has kind of become the new dead lane. So, especially when you have a tower disadvantage there with the tier 1s. Yeah. So it was weird that he was that advanced.
I think the play that I think he was just trying to cut the wave, right? He's just trying to slow down this game.
As an Emperor, you kind of need to do that.
Yeah, they just got to pump the brakes. Who else is going to do that? Mars? We've seen how well that's gone for him this game, right? I mean, honestly.
And look at Mars doing that again.
Mars, he does
defensive Yules.
He's got teammates coming over, but again, I mean, PuckChamp, they don't pay anything for really that effort. We might get a BKB charge out from Malice. I think he's just going to accept his death here. He realizes it's not worth it. He's overextended. He'll take that death. But yeah, again, PuckChamp, very similarly to last game, a little bit less so, right? Because Fortune's End can be quite crucial, especially in a game in which you're losing. This Monkey King as well, Wukong's command, very high impact ulti, and even with Dream Coil, right, controlling and setting up for the kill onto Ember is much easier than with it than without. But again, they kind of are free to kind of pick and choose their engagements at will. A lot of these engagements, I think, are going to overall be a little bit less costly for them, considering that we have gone for the early Monkey King Eggs, which gives you a lot of pushing power, to be honest.
Are fortified.
Yeah, it's true. That's one of the strengths of the Ags, right? It's a bit of farming potential, not as much as the Maelstrom, but the pushing power is ridiculous. You can take objectives really easily, which is why they took the tier 2 immediately up top, right? And now the enemy jungle is theirs if they want to. Like, Gambit right now doesn't know there's no wards in their own jungle, but they can't go there, just in case.
Yeah.
Right? So, which really, it really stops Luna's farm. And that kind of takes away from the whole point of picking a Luna, because the whole point of Luna is you get a Mask of Madness when you play her like this, you get a Mask of Madness and you vacuum farm. But when you're vacuum farming only a triangle, it's very easy to gank you and very easy to punish you. Pupper is here to break smokes, very well positioned by Pupper.
Nice
they go for him. Astral does see Xani though.
He wants more, but
so,
he can't. It's too far.
That's a good death. Like, if that's actually a death creating or a space creating death, right?
That's a fear death. If you watch NA Dota, if that's a Schofield death. If you watch SA Dota,
or Pilate die if you're an old school person like myself. You're like, oh, did Pilate just die 17 times and they're still winning the game? Wow, what a god. The Malk Award.
The Malk Award, yep.
Yeah.
Classic. I mean, anyway. Yeah, but that's another tower down, just like that. And in fact, I do want to bring up this little point. I think we're going to fight here, actually. But Puck has gone for a real...
Oh, nice drink coil. I'm gonna murder him. Oh, nice! I didn't even consider that, but they're breaking the drink coil like that is very clever. And he did go now. He's going for the axe, which I love. So they're gonna nullify this Luna BKE before she can make any use of it. Honestly, that's huge. Actually, this axe is big. I mean, it's gonna come out very soon. They see the Ember. They have a lasso ready, but no blink dagger. So Malice is not going to be able to jump on him. He's 600 gold away from his blink. Still.
Yep. Yeah, the Puck Axe is great. And she does a ton of right-click damage as well, which really, really increases their pushing power. If they needed any more, we've gone actually for the phase shift attack as well. I think that's fine, because honestly, you don't really lack damage in this game. Now that we have the Maelstrom up for the Monkey King, and Aegis, he's going to be going into his BKB next. We've got plenty of magic damage as well, up from your Oracle and your Earth Spirit, and of course, our Bat Rider is the nice cherry on top, who still has his own 10-second BKB. For now, though, Gambit...
which is huge, right?
Yes.
Because I think the Bat Rider of this game, something I like about Melis build him. Also, by the way, he's not master tier for nothing. He knows how to play this hero very well. But he's building him to have impact besides the lasso. So the lasso is a skill he owns, but it's mostly about the damage this guy can put out and the huge amount of magical damage output. Compared to the Mars, he's having so much more impact because of the build he's chosen. So I really like this build, this game. He already has Blink Dagger now.
What is this? What is this Kobold doing? Whose Kobold is this? Oh, that's
it's from one of the trusty shovel.
They dug it up with a shovel and they were smoked, so they didn't actually. He didn't actually.
Oh wow! A Kobold is gonna reveal your smoke, guys.
That's what does it. Otherwise, the Kobold is instantly aggroed. Little fact for you. And he will chase you down until you're dead or he's dead. And let's be honest, he's a Kobold, so it's gonna be him.
It's so stupid, by the way. The creeps ignore him completely. Like Kobold is the most godlike creature in this. He's just like he exists in the realm of existence away from neutrals and this dire and this dire radiant war. They dig him up randomly and they murder him and he gives gold for some reason.
Only a little bit though. Yeah,
but why is this animal carrying gold with him? That's terrible. Yeah, I think they can kill her quickly, even with Arena of Blood. She wants to use the Eclipse. No, he has the big game. He walks away, and Xani's going to be fine for now. Still has the Eclipse available. They want to chase after her, but Blizzy will have to sacrifice himself for the carry. Puck is going further. He has the Dream Coil ready to almost cancel that TP. Instead, only caught Lauren off, who BKBs immediately. The damage is high, but not high enough, and Ogre Magi will also be able to make it out of here alive. So in the end, PuckChamp aren't capable of turning this into a huge fight, but they do kill Blizzy, and now mess up for crit.
Wow.
Great play, Astro.
Yeah, nice job there to Gambit to get out, but I mean, if you just take a look at the fight recap, you can see that was a very, very one-sided fight, to say the least. Yes, there was some damage dealt by Gambit, but I think all that damage was just damage in an attempt to escape and get the heck out of Dodge, right? They were not looking to fight there whatsoever. They came in hoping to snipe this tier 2 tower sitting on 75 HP, and they got the kitchen sink thrown at them instead out from PuckChamp. They're lucky to have lived with relatively few losses. And here, actually, we might get a kill onto the Earth Spirit, which on a pretty far position 4 is a kill that you will take, especially when it goes over to your Johnny.
Yeah, when you are losing, you'll take any kills. Like at this point, even murdering the Oracle would be worthwhile.
Definitely.
Right? So you're quite happy about that. A bit of a misposition by Astral. They're trying to take over the enemy triangle, but the difficulty as well when you take over the enemy jungle is that you know they will defend their own triangle with tooth and nail. Right? You know they're gonna fight this, and you have to be much more confident about your incursions into the enemy triangle. You either go as 5 with like an idea of a smoke or some clear initiation tactic, or you don't go at all, because Gambit will make sure sure that anyone in that vicinity will get murdered. Xani takes the...
Oh, there it is.
They do it.
Okay.
Backdoor protection is a joke to Luna, and this carry Luna, I mean, is working out. She's gonna get the Scotty, and she's starting to become a carrier you can rely on now.
She is. She's actually managed to outfarm every single core on the, well, every single respective core, not put together, of course. She's no alchemist. But she's managed to outfarm every single core on the enemy team with still a 5k net worth advantage here towards PuckChamp. So that's really saying something there, as I believe they have not scouted Roche quite yet. Arrow will find Krilliad, as there's going to be now a little bit of damage here out from Blizzy. Yeah, they're just going to hit him with a tip, unfortunately. Not really much he could do there. Playing Mars from behind must be the off-lane equivalent of playing Disruptor from behind. It is just awful.
Yeah, it sucks so much for the Mars right now. I think it's really easy to blame Blizzy, but I don't know what he can do to really recover,
I agree.
honestly.
I agree. That's why I compare it
You're
to
really
Disruptor.
just counter initiation this game at best, right? You can kind of lay a good arena. It's not like arena was that great. I mean, you're up against Puck, Bad Rider, and Monkey King, or Spirit can even rolling boulder through the wall, right? So it sucks to play Mars.
I mean, this seems unlikely, but I don't know. But can Monkey King tree dance if no damage has been applied outside of arena? Will it let him? Because he's technically flying.
Yeah, you can, right? That's what I thought.
I would assume so. I mean, all you have to do is just damage the Monkey King, of course, lol, but it's not very likely considering how these arenas have been utilized this game thus far.
I mean, I haven't seen a single successful arena. That's the thing that I was talking about. They don't really have much synergy. Like, the best combo they kind of got is Eclipse into Arena of Blood, which is a combo that's countered by a single BKB, right? So it's not great.
Plus, like, to
usually
use Eclipse,
that's not a good
to agree
combo.
to all its terms and conditions here. For some reason, it's one of the most restricted ultis in the game. I have no idea why. But even with the Aghanim Scepter, which if you cast the Ag's upgraded version of Luna Eclipse onto an ally and they die, the Lucent Beams don't stop. I don't know why. Normally they do stop if you just, you know, cast it normally without Ags.
Oh, it's because it becomes an area around you rather than linked to your hero.
That makes sense.
Without Ags, it's linked to your hero. Yeah, that's why it happens.
But again, there's just like so many terms and conditions here to the Eclipse that make it
and also
a very hard ulti to synergize with. So I agree, that's kind of their best bet right now, Mars and Eclipse, I guess.
And Murphy's Law will state that if Eclipse is very close to killing someone, all the other beams will hit someone else. Right? That's what happens.
Or you've
every time you play Luna.
Amount of beams.
Or a creep will walk, or someone will summon a Cabal down a treasure shovel, right? Or something like that. Luna is that kind of hero. They catch you with a Dream Coil. This time they do have the Ags on the Dream Coil, which means they can still stun her despite that. Arena Blood is good to stop the enemy team initiation, but Xani's still in trouble. His BKB completely wasted, and yet again, it seems like a bad team fight for Gambit. Now the Eclipse, though, annoying Astro completely wasted onto the M4, but actually managing to get a kill. Not too awful, as PuckChamp is unable to secure a single hero for now. Lornoff might be the only one they can kill. As they divide their efforts, they'll finish off Blizzy and Lornoff, but Melis went a bit too far and had to die as a result.
He did. Well, I don't know if he had to die, but he does die as a result of that one. They buy back on the Earth Spear. A little bit of exasperation there. That shows the difference. I mean, contrast this fight we just witnessed from PuckChamp, which in one word I would kind of describe as overzealous compared to the fight they took last game here near the bottom to do. They were just dewarded. They knew Gambit was in the area, and they go, you know what, screw it, we feel strong, let's go in and fight. We'll probably come out on top. They do, just because they're that far ahead, and they're going to get a kill here onto the Ogre for free. But it was a bit costly for them here. It wasn't for free. They did lose their offlaner, and they had to buy back on their position 4. So Gambit still proving that they can still come back in this game, but with this second Roche now, second Aegis now for our Monkey King, they are going to be feeling really, really strong. There's no mid-tier 2 standing. There's not even a mid-tier 1, sorry, a bottom tier 1 standing. So the push is going to be coming pretty hard and fast here out from PuckChamp.
Access Vampire does get annoyed a bit by the flame break, but Bad Rider's like, I mean, I'm chasing a Mirana, you know. Every time you chase a Mirana, you have to. The real fight when you chase a Mirana is not giving up halfway through because you just want to throw the PC away, right? That's the real internal fight that you're having here. Bad Rider could have actually caught up to her, he just chose not to.
No, what we should do is we should bring back the old Diffusal Blade with charges, and if you use Diffusal Blade on Mirana, she loses a charge of leap. I think that's how that should work.
I think you should be able to kill the Tiger, right? And then she can't leap anymore. Like she can still shoot her arrow in Starstorm, but she's slower and she can't.
That's...
You know, if you bring her to like half HP, she loses her Tiger. I think that would be a nice idea.
Oh no, they've caught one again. Oh, he's broken it.
Oh, it's Ags, dude.
Physical damage though is the good news. There's a glimpse there
Lasso.
as well. Lasso though, with the Gem of True Sight, not really doing much.
Here's the physical damage.
Yep, here he is. Here he is, and his name is Krylat on the Monkey King. Just getting a kill delivered to him there, to be honest. 3, 4, and 2. The Temper Spirit, unfortunately, just doesn't have the game impact he's looking for. Is 3K behind net worth in terms of where even the enemy off laner is, not even mentioning the enemy mid laner, his contemporary, who is just jumping and diving under tier 4s and nearly getting the kill on the Excess Vampire. Fortify will be used, but there's the counter Fortify. PuckChamp, they don't want to back away from this. They probably know this Emperor's got no buyback. He's so poor.
Well, they know that right now they have pretty much free reign to take this tower, especially with Wukong's command available. It's not like Gambit can really easily initiate. Luna's just going to take advantage of this time to farm. They do have Eclipse, so they could try to counter-initiate this potentially. Luna's going for Linkage next to prevent the lasso. Oh, she did go for the Lucid Beam talent.
I was about to say, yeah, you beat me to it.
That's why we're in sync, dude. She went for both Lucid Beam talent, actually, including the damage talent, which was surprising to me. Because, I mean, okay, I get the cooldown talent as opposed to the movement speed, but the Lucid Beam damage talent as opposed to the stats is interesting. They catch the Monkey King. Should not be too hard to kill unless they manage to get him. Okay, they lined up for him. Dream Cold counter initiation is good. Luna can't even use her Eclipse. Everyone's dead for Gambit. Line up, why don't you, right? Like, you're up against the Monkey King. He can't do anything against you except for stun you all like that.
That was
deserved. That's GG.
Deserved. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what that was. Blizzy completely whiffed the Spear of Mars. I don't mean to just point fingers here, but that would have at least interrupted the stun from coming out. They just had nothing. They just lined up and ran into their deaths. Oh, PuckChamp, they are going to be feeling really good after that game. Oh, goodness.
Dude, that was like the worst way to lose. I mean, I could see the frustration in that GG, right? I think PuckChamp played an incredible game, so kudos to them, 100%. But